then we can kick it off. Let me just verify that it's going properly. All right, perfect. So I'll redo the short intro just to get us started. Welcome everybody to the end of week 1 of MarketMake. Congratulations, you survived your first week of the hackathon. So kudos, good job. So what this event is going to be is it's a pretty basic session. What we're going to do is, if you haven't signed up already, please add your name to the Google Doc in the chat. If you don't see it, can somebody please send it again, or I can grab it. But you're going to have a few minutes to just talk about what you have scoped out to build over the next few weeks. We want you to be able to describe your project pretty concisely. Don't try to take 10 minutes and a whole slide presentation. And we have with us 2 Aave team members, David and Ernesto, and then another member of Lemniscap, Saishav, and they are going to be giving you feedback about the scope of your project, any tips or suggestions to help you improve as you're building. So I think David and Ernesto have given intros before, but Saishav, do you want to give a quick just intro to yourself and Lemniscap before we jump into it? You're muted.
Do you unmute? Hi.
There we go.
I think that's fine. Yeah. I actually got down into crypto in 2016 after the Indian government actually did something which was very crazy for our time. We had something called demonetization, where the government decided to just ban large currency notes overnight, and that got me interested into Bitcoin. And I got in 2016. We followed up with the Ethereum hype and everything that was building on Ethereum. Everything was new for the first time. And 2017 was a good time. Met a lot of people, and I came across with my partner Roderick. We caught up in Hong Kong for an event, and we were in the same time looking to do funds and start off from investing our own money and some friends and family money. We set up Lemniscap in early 2018, and we have a very wide mandate within the crypto space. So we do DeFi, we do equity, we have played all kind of narratives, but the idea is to back top talents, and we look at talents which are trying to build some interesting product and new code as such, right? Happy to see what projects are people here are building, right?
Awesome. Yeah, just really quick, if it wasn't clear for anybody putting their name in that document, you should be putting your names at the bottom of it and not rearranging the order. It looks like some people are moving around. Unless you're moving your own name, don't cut in line. All right, we're gonna jump into it. Isaac, I think you are first, so take it away. So the presentation, just try to keep it pretty short, maybe 1 or 2 minutes max. Just describe the idea of what you're doing, and then we'll see how this goes.
Sure. Hi, everyone. We are building an unsecured lending vault strategy. So the idea is that we can have a pool of community capital, which is lent out to borrowers through like a trusted risk assessor off-chain. So the strategy of the vault would be anyone that puts money in here gets someone who's good at scoring people and managing unsecured loans off-chain through like traditional credit means. Would kind of whitelist people, and then those people would be able to take out loans from the pool of capital, and then there'd be so borrowers would be able to take out loans more like traditional style consumer loans that they don't have to post capital for, and then they repay it. And then people that put capital into the lending vault, similar to another like vault investment thing, would get rewards based on how well the risk assessor did in judging if people are going to pay back their loans. So we plan to use Aave's delegated credit vault, where we'll have a contract where people put the community capital in. It'll go into the Aave lending pool, and then we'll have basically a trusted person that whitelists who gets to borrow. And then when that happens, the person can borrow. I have some unknowns, like if we want to do the the Aave interest rate plus like a prime plus like an additional amount. I'll have some technical questions that I'll post in the channel about where exactly the repayment should go. Does it have to go through another contract? But that's the general idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely make full sense. I think also the idea should be like within the scope of the hackathon. If you center yourself on that contract managing the credit delegation, so definitely like go on with that, and just let us know about the questions about the repayment, and we could try to help.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the idea it's a good idea. It's something which is not very crowded in the market, so it's still a area which has to be explored, which is the lower collateral or no collateral loans as such, right? I think where it matters. So I like the approach which you are taking, which makes it easy to implement or at least get off. Is have a fund manager who basically then manages the fund and deploys the capital as such, and judges risk, right? I do think there are good opportunities to work with loan originators instead directly in the market, right? And who would originate loans? There are few projects who are working on that, like Maple and all, but it's still an unexplored area where no one's got a success. So I think it's a very interesting idea to, or at least segment to work on and build something.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think on I guess like besides what's already been said, the pitch was pretty good. The one sentence or the first few sentences was spot on. Then it probably got a bit complex after that. So maybe just work on that part of the pitch. But the idea, I think, yeah, definitely it's interesting, has legs. And it's great you're using credit delegation as well. So good work.
Thanks everyone for the feedback.
Yeah, real quick, how are you going to use Bloom? I know there's an entire like identity management system, but how do you plan to actually integrate Bloom with this?
Sure, let me give you a quick swim lanes, and I'll post a link here. But basically what happens is that the borrower has to do the KYC and credit check where they can pull their score from Bloom. And then there's and then they can basically share it to an oracle that will then whitelist, like none of the actual data goes on chain, but basically the credit checks happen off chain. They share the fact that they've been KYC'd and credit checked. And then that kind of puts them into a risk bucket. And then that just whitelists this address belongs to this risk bucket on chain. So the Bloom component is off chain. They get their credit score and KYC through an app. And then that gets shared on chain through just like a simple like oracle or like Chainlink thing.
Okay, but the KYC never ends up on chain, right?
Right. It's just the fact that the address has been whitelisted and KYC'd. It's not like the any PII goes on chain.
Cool. Okay, great. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Any final comments? If not, we can move on. Thanks, Isaac, for being the first one. Seems like the other people said, it's a promising concept.
Is Bloom already on mainnet as such?
Yeah. So actually none of it actually has to happen on chain. So the actual credentials of KYC and credit information is all issued off chain, and it's just a matter of plugging into a Chainlink adapter. So yeah, it can go on chain.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Isaac. Marco, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, take it away.
Hello, everyone. With our team, we are working at a product that we are calling Live Aave at the moment. And it's a leverage, non-custodial leverage trading application using Aave and 1inch. Basically, it started all from the 1inch bounty idea of creating leverage position using flash loans, Aave liquidity, and the 1inch API. Basically, the application for the end user will be an interface similar to like all those AMM interfaces where the user will pick an asset that he will want to use as collateral, and the asset that he wants to take the leverage on. He will be able to both take a long position and a short position, and choose which kind of leverage, if you want to go 2x, 3x, 4x, and so on. And then after he opens the position, our idea is that he'll see an interface similar to a centralized exchange, where he will see his liquidation price, his profit and loss, and stats like that. Of course, that if someone has already some position opened with Aave, it can mix it up a bit. So we are still thinking like how to manage that. Then we are thinking also, not sure if we'll make it by the hackathon, but some other ideas is to add stop loss and take profit functions, so that after the user open a position, he can also decide to put a stop loss, which could be leveraged with the Chainlink Oracle. So yeah, that's basically the main idea for this project.
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah, I like the idea. Like, is already like out there since our version 2 of the protocol was published. So for sure it has some future. I think. I have a question that is also related with your pitch. Is that do you tokenize these positions? And also, if you mentioned that it's 2x, 3x, 4x, but is this granular that you can go at any x leverage that you want, or is just fixed tranches of like doing 2 or 3x? I think that is important to describe when you do the final presentation. But it's also a question.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point, and I don't think we have an answer yet. From technical point of view, it's no problem. I mean, we could do it either way. I think it's more a question from user experience point of view. And yeah, I mean, thinking about it now, I would probably go maybe like most of centralized exchange, like with fixed options, so like 2x, 3x, 4x. That's like what I'm thinking now, but yeah, we are still evaluating, and it's also possible to make it granular, and yeah, we'll evaluate it better from a user experience point of view.
Okay, great.
I think I agree that it's an interesting idea, and I actually think, Mark, there's another project which is working on using Aave for delegation and using that as leverage. It's called Market. It's also an interesting project that they're working on a leverage where they take Aave delegation as the source of credit as such. I'm just wondering, how do you manage liquidation in this case? Hello.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you for a few seconds.
How would you manage liquidation? Like, what's your idea to manage liquidation? And would that restrict you in just provide, like, do you want to provide, can this short or long any assets, or would it be a certain market cap assets which are easy to liquidate then?
So the idea is to give opportunity to the user to use any tokens as collateral that are on Aave, and at the same time take a long position or short position on any tokens that are present on Aave. Well, for the liquidation, I mean, the idea for now is that if the position goes underwater, so health factor under 1, it will just be liquidated by some bot that are already liquidating those positions, those health factor below 1 positions. And then there's also the idea to add the possibility to set a stop loss. So in that case, that the position gets closed before getting liquidated, and that would be managed with the Chainlink Oracle.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think maybe also having ways to unleverage as well. So once you've leveraged, maybe you change your mind, then unleveraging, that would be useful. The thing is with stop losses is that when the market tanks, you're selling into like the tanking market. So maybe there's some dynamics there to think about. In that the stop loss may not be the best time for them to sell or cover their positions. And I think you could probably do it sounds like a really good idea. And I think you could around like safety and UX, that's probably a big thing, because you're creating these, I guess, financial weapons for people to use. It's good if you can help them stay safe as well. So yeah, that would be my feedback.
Big warnings. Do not use too much leverage.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Marco.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to the next project, which is Audits Are Dead. Jack, you want to start off?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so some of you may remember this idea from the brainstorm session last week. But yeah, so basically what we want to make is a two-sided insurance marketplace. So basically smart contract insurance. And we want to have stakers on one side who see a yield and they decide, okay, I like this yield, I'm going to stake in this pool. And then projects on the other side where we basically price their insurance and they say, okay, we like this price, we're going to buy the insurance. And in the middle is sort of our internal audit team that looks at these contracts that, these protocols have and basically prices the insurance based on the risk, the perceived risk. So that way the stakers don't have to do any heavy lifting of deciding if a protocol is safe or not and looking at the smart contracts. And the projects get a fair rate based on, experts in the field who have decided what the rate should be. And then on the back end, the staking pool is going to deposit with Aave. So we're going to have the Aave yield from depositing and then also the insurance fee yields combining to make a big yield for our stakers. And that's the idea. There's a lot more details, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Okay, I'll go first. So yeah, I think insurance is a very obvious use case, especially with the growth in DeFi. Right now, I think you have 2 or 3 players. There's Nexus Mutual.
Yeah.
What I want to understand is how do you differentiate yourself in the end when you say. Also, I from what I understood from you, you are expecting the buyers to be projects and you're not looking at end users as buyers. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. So that's one of the differences that we think is sort of a big deal is, individual users, like you don't go to a bank and try to get a bank account and they say, okay, great. Like now go across the street to the insurance firm and buy insurance for your bank account, like in case the bank gets robbed. So we think from a UX perspective, it makes a lot more sense if the protocols are buying the insurance and not the users. And then in terms of, Nexus Mutual, we think they don't really have a good way of pricing their insurance. Like there's this whole issue with audits and how it's kind of a one-time point in time thing. And, protocols get hacked even after audits. And so Nexus Mutual is kind of relying on those audits as well and saying, okay, this audit 6 months ago, we're going to price, this protocol based on that audit or, kind of finger in the air. So we're going to have an internal team that has their incentives aligned with the stakers to kind of choose the right protocols to put in the pool at the right price. Kind of like an actuary and a real insurance firm would price insurance. And there's a couple other things with Nexus Mutual we don't really like, but especially when the individual has to buy the insurance and not the protocol, they have to decide how long they want the insurance for. And if you are, going into Aave and, 2 weeks later you're going into Compound because they have a higher yield and you're kind of moving funds around, you have no idea how long you want to buy insurance for. So it doesn't make sense to us that you have to try to guess how long you're going to be in a certain protocol for, and buy insurance based on that, and then renew insurance based on that.
Okay, I think that's an interesting idea to. I just wonder. So because of your approaches to get projects, so say Aave wants to. The idea would be to talk to Aave, the team, to get the whole protocol insured by the protocol. I would wonder, what would you think? How would projects basically fund this? Right now, like it would be some new kind of expenditure for a protocol, right? In a sense.
100%.
Have you had any of this discussion with any teams to get their feedback on that? I think that would be very important, right? To understand how your customer thinks it.
Yeah, we think that's a really, really important point. And then, that's a good point that you brought up. And Aave is really interesting because they obviously have their own, safety module. And you may not know this, but, they pay, I think, 550 Aave a month to that, or is that a day? Basically, we did the calculation, and Aave is currently paying $40 million a day. Yeah, so you guys are paying $40 million a year for insurance. If you just convert that Aave into US dollars, it's 40 million a year. So that's like a high price to pay for insurance. And obviously projects right now are paying for those point in time audits, which, run from 10 grand and upwards probably. So we think, there's a good middle ground that we can find where projects would maybe take some of that audit money that they would be paying for audits every year, every 6 months, and instead have a full solution where they can be sure that if in the event of a hack, they're going to be covered. Their users are going to be fine and they're not going to lose any money. And we think they can bring a lot more users into their protocol if they can make that claim that they're fully insured.
I think I have some questions. Like the main question is, for what I understand, especially for what you just explained, you depend a lot on having your point of differentiation with Nexus Mutual is having a group of experts that are like evaluating continuously a protocol.
Yeah,
that look like a really expensive thing. In the sense that end of the day, it's based on trust, built on reputation as an auditor, and those professionals they have high cash, let's say. So taking into account that, how and the other systems that exist, like for example the Aave protocol that spends. If you understand those 550, spending on insurance, it's not exactly like that usually, how I understand it, but it's 40 millions and it has the capacity to spend 40 millions in order to build, let's say, a pot to actually cover a meaningful amount of the stake. How do you plan to incentivize auditors at the same time that you build a really big pot and it's attractive for stakers?
Right. Those are two really important questions. I think on the auditor side, you're right. Right now, auditors, they're in a great place. They're booked for the next 6 months, straight, and they're making a lot of money doing those audits. So it is going to be a little bit challenging to try to get auditors on board. But we think we can actually pay them a decent amount of money. And obviously, the first few that we bring on, we'll give them equity and we'll give them kind of, we think, a good incentivization. And we think there's a lot of really talented auditors out there. The problem isn't actually, the talent of the auditors. The problem is that it's just a point in time audit. And they look at it, for a month or a week, and they say, okay, this point in time, this code base has an issue. You can fix that, has this vulnerability. And then they don't look at the code base until you pay them again. So we're just trying to have people that look at a code base and then they kind of track the changes as it goes along, which aren't usually big changes. Like not everyone's launching, V2 or whatever it is. every month. So we actually think it could make a lot of sense for auditors to stay on and just sort of track the projects as they make smaller changes and go down the road. So, but I agree, you know, it'll be challenging to bring on auditors and pay them right and kind of get that all set up, especially get the incentives aligned so that these auditors kind of are in it with the stakers and, you know, they're choosing the right price and the right protocols to bring into the platform. And then your second point on the Aave insurance pool. Yeah, I mean, you guys have a $600 million, last I checked, it was $600 or $550 million insurance pool. And you've got, you know, 30% of that available for if a hack happens, because that's the slashing rate. So, you know, you've got, call it 200 million to cover any insurance hack that happens on Aave. And yeah, we don't have an insurance pool yet. So that's kind of going to be one of those things that, you know, you need to bootstrap a little bit. And maybe we make our own token to kind of make more incentives at the beginning to kind of get people going into the pool. Like, I like what you guys did, which was you started paying people before the insurance was actually live, you know? So you said, here's this pool, we're going to pay you, you know, 400 Aave and just kind of get it going and get the pool to a good, like, decent amount in there. And then you activated, like, okay, this is live now. If there's a hack, like, you guys get slashed up to 30%. So yeah, I think that's a really good point too. And that's something that's going to be challenging, is like building a big pool. Like 600 million is massive. You guys are the biggest player in insurance, you know, by far right now. So yeah, that's going to be a challenge for sure.
I still like, apart from the questions, I think it's like there is a lot of place in the market, because like native insurance pools on specific protocols can live together with external insurance models, like, for sure. Like, the insurance business is huge out there. So and we are just starting on DeFi. So I mean, why not to try? I think that there is some place to explore.
All
About
right.
technical questions, I don't have so much feedback, because I don't know how is the system, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll release more. We've got most of the smart contracts written, but we'll kind of give more detail around that sooner than later. But yeah, I agree. I think, you know, native insurance platforms can kind of exist in harmony with other external insurance platforms, and they kind of need each other, and, you know, reinsurance at some point and that kind of thing. So I agree.
All right, Jack. I think we're going to move on to the next project. That was
Cool.
some good discussion. I hate to leave it, but yeah, we're going to move on.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good and ambitious project, by the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, David.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I'll get you next time, David. Thanks, guys.
Next up, we have Hello Token, Wahid, if you want to start.
Hi guys, how are you? Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a Hello Token. It's like I'm aspiring to develop a protocol that the participant of that protocol can buy crypto under low price than the current at the stage of market. For example, how it works. Here we have Alice, Bob, and John invest, and then a rest of 17. There is 20 participants in the network, each one of them contributing $1,000. Then we get 20,000 in the pool, in the Hello token, so each contributing $1,000. So in this $20,000, we buy, say for example, at the time it is 40,000 per BTC. We bought like half BTC, and among the 20 people, 20 members of the pool compete to buy this half BTC at a lower price. Whoever bid lower will get that half BTC, and then a small amount of like 5% of the money will go to the protocol, and the remaining, the pending amount will be distributed among the 20 members. For example, if this is 20,000 is the value for half BTC, and then the Raj is bidding for lowest price. Rest of them, everyone else will bid, and Raj is the lowest bidder. he bidding for $16,000 for this Aave BTC, but it is actually 20,000 at the time of at the time. So this is the lowest bid, and then he gets the protocol like allocates this Aave BTC to Raj, and then remaining deducts the 20,000, takes the 16,000, and remaining $4,000 will be distributed among the rest of the people at the 20. Sorry, this is rupees. So $200 per guy. So it will go to rest of the guys. So organizer will take $1,000 from Raj fees, and then finally he get a Aave BTC for 16,000. This is the project I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to get an idea validation with you. What do you think of this? Am I audible? Hello?
Yep. Yeah. My first question, so basically this is like a group investment or a pooled investment that has a token. Is Hello Token just the name of the project, or is there some sort of token involved?
Yeah, it's Hello Token is the thing, but eventually I'm aspiring to develop a token which shall incentivize the people as well. When you invest $1,000 and you didn't get the bid, you get some amount of Hello Token, so that as a reward. So you can, it's like a reward, like something like you purchase anything, you get a reward, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other feedback from David or Ernesto? Anybody?
Yeah, I can go first. So you buy the half BTC, spend that 20,000. That person bids 16,000. Raj bids 16,000. The organizer takes 1,000. So isn't there $15,000 that gets distributed to the rest of the participants?
No. The 15,000 is it's amount spent on BTC, right? $20,000 spent on Bitcoin. So
yeah.
The remaining amount is the people will get benefit by time. So whoever is bidding lower will be awarded.
But yes, but Raj, does he transfers $16,000 to the pool?
Yeah.
So then the organizer takes 1,000, and then there's $15,000 for the pool, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure if wholesale crypto sales exist. If you go to site Binance or something like this, you see the same prices for independently on the size of the trade. So I don't see that it would work.
Because the benefit for the members is like they get a chance to buy crypto at a lower price.
Yeah, I understand that concept. So what I'm confused about is the final amount. So why is it $4,000 and not $15,000 that gets distributed to the other participants if someone bid $16,000? And then besides that, maybe that's just a simple sort of maths thing, is that like in Ethereum, if I'm assuming you're doing this on Ethereum, there's 18 decimal places. So the lowest bid will always be like, 0.0001.
Yeah, I understand.
So why, if you're going for the lowest bid, it would make sense that everyone will just bid the lowest possible number, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just a high level presentation. But
so maybe that game mechanic. Think about that a bit. There's other sort of mechanisms where you can do the second highest bid. I think that generally in auctions that can be beneficial, and also can be beneficial for the participants as well, because you probably want the higher bid, not the lower bid, right? So then people don't lose out as much.
The second highest bid
definitely
would be an improvement.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's something there that's interesting as more of like a game play thing. legality, I'm not sure about. But yeah, it sounds a bit like a lottery type style. But I guess you have some sort of auction mechanism. It's interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything else to say?
Should I go
Yeah.
spend my time in developing this idea into product? What do you think?
I think you should research on like existing mechanisms, auction mechanisms out there, and because I agree also with David that maybe the idea needs a bit of like change the direction to maybe like get a big understanding of the other protocols of auctions out there and trying to build something related with that. I will focus more on that, because it seems for me that you are trying to build an auction system. But like if you want to make it interesting, yeah, introduce like some gamification, for example.
Dear Wahid, I think two things. The first, I think your original idea, my English isn't very good, I may misunderstand something, but my impression that your original idea is not very good because crypto wholesale sales probably don't exist. But there is a way to make your project better. You can make sales of NFTs. NFT may represent, for example, a real estate property, a house. And for this case, your project would probably work. So I advise you to add NFTs and buy not just crypto, but real world things. Then it will work maybe.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much for your feedback.
Yeah, I also think it's a good idea to involve like real assets. Maybe.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye.
Thanks for presenting.
All right, next up is Aave B. I don't see a name there, but hopefully they're ready. Aave B, is that you, Tillman? No, I see your hand up. I'll give one more second for Aave B to show up. All right, we're going to move on to Finance Club. Raghu?
Yep, I'm available here. So let me just
Perfect. Go ahead.
Share my screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hope you're able to see my screen and things. So I'm building something for the entire crypto community around the world. And even for people who are not introduced to the crypto, we were thinking of a solution where the regular fans, regular users, the mass market has to adopt crypto and they have to come in and gain ROI from their investments. The problem that exists in the world today is that many people around the world are hesitant or scared to invest in the stock market or crypto market because they don't have knowledge about the existing assets. If someone doesn't know about Bitcoin, they don't want to invest there, right? But all over the world, we have fans for sports stars, for other celebrities, like in movies or whatever, who have a lot of knowledge and passion towards their particular sport and favorite game. And we are enabling them to invest in their favorite players, our favorite games. Thereby, they can gain ROI on their investment. This brings in financial inclusion around the world. And that's the goal and objective of our project. What we are planning to build is a platform where users can buy the celebrity tokens and trade them, right? This also eliminates all the geographical barriers that we have, because we are not using fiat currency, but blockchain based, which is completely global. The platform we are building will enable people to buy and sell ERC20 tokens, which will be for each celebrity, will create a ERC20 token. There'll also be a ERC721, which is an NFT that can be owned by a particular person. Which means if you own an NFT token and there is a lot of trading happening on that partnered ERC20, you're going to get a portion of the fees, the trading fees that we are going to charge. And that's how we have built this entire platform. Now, if we look at the supply and demand plays a major role here, because if a player scores well in a particular match, then the demand for that player is going to go up. And we leave it to the market to decide upon the price of that particular player. Based on future predictions, based on future performance, the price might get up or down. and this is indirectly influenced by their performance, right? So we have planned to use Ethereum and layer 2 Matic network to build this platform because of the relay network, because of higher transaction volumes and lesser fees and things like that that Matic provides. I also attended this webinar on Aave. So I'm planning to bring in my ERC 721 on the Aave platform so that we can stake, and all of the advantages of Aave also will come in. I've created a landing page for this, and the finance is the tagline we have is finance for fans. We want to bring in all the fans around the world into the platform. Now, this is the POC we have built. This is an exchange where people can trade their favorite players. Like you have in sports called as cricket. I have just added a dummy, let's say 3 players, which can be traded all along. Users can place orders. The important part is fees can be either paid by Ether or by the fancy token that we are going to create. We'll have our own ERC20 token, which can be used to pay the transaction fees. We have currently set the transaction fees to be 1%, but it can vary based on the market dynamics. And it's in a very early stage, like the POC is built, but there's a lot of other work to do, the home page, the landing page, and all of these things. But I hope to do that by the end of this hackathon. And with that, we'll also get into the licensing part of it, because that's a question that I most often get. With regards to license, there are 2 things when it comes to sports trading platforms or the celebrity trading platforms kind of a thing. There is game of skills and a game of chance. Game of chance includes lottery and things like that, where you invest somewhere, you don't have any control over the price. But game of skills talks about your predictions, your performance analysis, and things like that. So Finance Club will be a game of skills rather than a game of chance, so that we won't face any licensing issues with the players or the franchises that we are working with. Also, we'll put a clear disclaimer that Finance Club is nowhere related into these players or the franchises, and hence we'll also not get legal issues from those kind of franchises or the players. Also, in the future, we are planning to partner with these sports stars and franchises so that they become a partner, hence we don't face this. A reserve will be maintained. So every time a new token is created for a particular player, let's say Cristiano Ronaldo, we'll maintain a reserve of Ether of 10%, let's say. And whenever this person wants to claim royalty, they can claim from the reserve that we have for this person. It can be considered as an insurance, I can say. And with that, I come to the end of the presentation, and I'm looking for feedback. Thank you from Finance Club.
Cool. So right off the bat, these sort of things always make me think of that they'll eventually devolve into like assassination markets, because you can buy stock in the future of somebody, good or bad. Hopefully this doesn't turn into that. So who gates or who controls the creation of each fan token? I'm assuming that would be you guys, because you don't want like 10 tokens per sports person.
That's right. In the initial stages, it will be the admins, the founders, who will be creating this. So currently it is myself. I'll be the sole admin and the sole developer of this platform. And I'll be governing the entire token creation, and I'll be choosing the players who has to be in the market. But later we are planning to decentralize this and bring in other users, and they can, we'll have validators and voters. So if there's a request for creation of a particular fan token, then the other people, the validators, can vote for their favorite players, and that will be taken into consideration to create the players. So completely decentralizing this is the objective, but that can take about a year or so, or a number of users before we can get to that stage.
Yeah, somebody beat me to it in the chat, but my next question was going to be, if you aren't decentralized from day one and you're controlling who gets listed, there might be some IP or some legal questions about, you're benefiting from the likeness or the brand of somebody else. So, I mean, obviously this is just a hackathon. I don't expect you to have, lawyers on your team, but that's definitely something to consider. It's the long.
Sure. Yes. We have been looking at all of the other there's a huge player called Dream11 based in India, which is into fantasy sports. So they have not got any licensing or any partnerships with the player. What they do is, because it's a game of skills, they don't really get these kind of issues, but partnering with these players also give them an advantage. And one of the reasons why we have this reserve fund maintained is to face legal issues in the future if it comes up.
Good plan. Any other comments from
Yeah.
David Ernesto? Go ahead.
Just a few questions. So I like the idea of making an NFT for a market and getting some part of the fees, right? What I don't understand is, since it's not licensed, right? So if it was if it's like NBA Top Shot, which is licensed, there's a value to it. These are not licensed. You're just creating ERC20 and you're giving them a name, say Cristiano Ronaldo, right?
Right. Yeah.
Why would someone trade it? Like, why would I trade the ERC20?
Okay, this is associated with the name, and any ERC20 token that we see on the market today has a use case behind it. Instead of it being a protocol or DeFi level use case, this is a performance use case based on sports. And it is just a virtual token that we are creating that's going to be sold and bought by people based on the performance and demand for that particular token. It's just a name given to the ERC20 token, as you told. But even if you look at any of the fantasy sports virtual tokens that we have in the world today, that's also virtual. Let's say you have a team and you're creating a virtual token for that. If you create your own players, your own teams for that, and the team does well, if they hit a 4, if they hit a goal, then you're getting paid for that. It's a similar concept to that, just that it's based on a blockchain, and the virtual currency is actually a tradable token, completely transparent and things like that. All of the advantages of blockchain come into this, and that's the reason why virtual tokens have been converted into ERC20. But as you told, it's a regular ERC20 token, and we cannot really match this or partner this with a particular player. So I hope it will be helpful, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to validate my idea in the first place in this hackathon.
I'm just trying to lead you to basic. So when you compare it to normal games, so say you said if a player hits a 4, right, they get paid, right? So there's a payment that is happening that is making me select that player, right? So if I buy Cristiano Ronaldo and he performs better, what do I get what do I get from that platform, right? Like,
Okay.
does it?
Fine.
So
So consider there's a tournament happening, and Cristiano Ronaldo hits a goal. He gets 2 goals and whatever, the man of the series or things like that. The future expectations that he will hit a goal in the next match will go up. So the demand will go up, and hence the price of that particular token might also go up. It is indirectly related to the performance. I cannot say, okay, if he hits a goal, the price is going to go up by 20% or whatever. I cannot fix that, because the market, just like a BTC market, is based on supply and demand, and leave it to the market to see how many goals he hits and the future predictions and the expectation of the fans for that particular player. And based on that, the price of the token will be decided by the market. And I'm not going to fix something like if there is a goal, the price is going to go up by 5% or something. That, I think, will not really serve the purpose of creating tokens for the celebrities.
I just think you need to think of a payout, right? Like, why there's no payout. I don't see like, if you say a prediction market, right? So when you say prediction market, what happens is one side gets paid out, right? More than they put in. Here, I don't see a payout as such, right? Why would I buy a token which there's no settlement of a payout, right? So I think you need to put some kind of gameplay or something that generates some kind of revenue or something that is a payout for one party, right?
Okay.
Of one side of the trade. Others, these are just a random ERC20, which I don't know why would people buy or sell.
Okay, probably that's a good point. I'll take that into consideration and work on that a little bit more. So you're telling me something which gets directly related to the performance of the player has to be inside, has to be inbuilt into the platform. Only then there will be a payout and a result of my investment and things like that. If I'm right, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Kind of, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. I'll take that into consideration. Probably in the next meeting we can discuss more about that.
I also would say the same. Like, even you realize that you compare with a fantasy football game or something, but what matters there is that there is a end game, like there is like objective, like the objective is to build the best team, and you get the best team by the performance during the year, during the tournament.
Right.
If you build something like that, then the tokenization is fine, because you can, for example, have like calculate like fractions of the users. So somebody can have like, imagine 1% of Cristiano Ronaldo and another the 10% of Messi, and taking into account your team on that direction. At the end of the season, you can give a winner, for example, and you can put part of the fees or whatever on the winner. But without the game itself defined, the trade doesn't mean anything. Like, I will not. I agree with Saisha that I don't see the reason to buy the tokens.
Got it.
Unless
Okay.
I have an objective.
Yeah, I can implement that, but given the time frame of the hackathon, I don't think taking an API.
Not on the time frame, but in terms of the design, like what you want to build at least.
Okay, got it. Thanks for the feedback. Yes, I incorporate that into the platform and think more about how can we do that and directly have a partnership with the performance of the player. Good point, actually.
Yeah, I'll just have a quick point. Yeah, so it's the same exactly what the guys have already said. I think maybe on the technical level, like you know about ERC20s and NFTs, and that's really good. So technically, you're good. But I think maybe on the economic side is probably where you need more work. Like tokens people don't just trade tokens for no reason, and price doesn't just go up for no reason. You need some inherent value of some sort. So whether it's partnerships with the clubs, or maybe you can tie in with Aave somehow, right? If like these tokens mean that you can have an Aave soccer hat that looks like the soccer player, or a jersey or something, maybe that's valuable. And then maybe that's a reason, but there needs some tie-in to something somewhere. So yeah, just have a think about that.
Oh, sure. Thanks. I'll think about the economics part of it.
Great comments. Thanks for sharing, Raghu. We're going to move on to Victor. And just as a warning for everybody, we are not going to be able to get through everybody with the full set. I'll stay on after 11. This session is supposed to go until 11:30 Eastern. So we do still have some time, but I guarantee we're not going to get through everybody, but I'll stay on and talk to people who are still on the list after that if the other people giving feedback can't stay. So just be aware. You might be stuck with me. Next up, Victor, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, Vitalik Buterin said he regrets that there are almost no Ethereum salaries. There is much money spent, much energy spent, and no salaries for a common good. I did it. I make Ethereum salaries. I will just show first. I'm sharing the screen. Wait, something wrong. I see. You see, yes? Do you see? Anyone can register for a salary. Just clicking this button and confirming. Then we can accept donations. Anyone can donate. Or bequest. Bequesting is not yet done, but it is easy. So anyone can donate in ETH, etc. EC20, it's under donation amounts and donate. It's very easy. The essence of the project is that it creates incentive for the market, creates a market for calculating automatically the amounts of salaries. The amounts of salaries is calculated by traders. Traders and search engines are incentivized to collaborate and calculate it. It is done using a prediction market. I create a prediction market where future performance of works, for example, for scientists, it would be, for example, amounts of citations in the future. For example, direct and indirect citations. So a scientist may get a salary proportional to his rate score. Everybody who registers get a rating or score. We can use different words. And gets in the future rating. Prediction market predicts this rating and gives him a salary in conditional tokens. It is, in fact, money transfer from the future. Mathematically, it's equivalent to money transfer from the future, given certain conditions, certain assumptions. So we lock money, for example, for 50 or even 100 years, and gather donations in the future, and transfer money from the future to pay salaries to these people who work. It is future oriented. It is about the future performance of work, not about current performance. For example, if a student is very promising, he gets the same amount of money as a Nobel laureate. There are many subtleties and details in this project, but I have thought of everything. In fact, I have almost this you see, an MVP. I submitted a draft pull request to Gitcoin. It is almost an MVP, just contracts are not audited and not enough tested. So we get fair Ethereum salaries, transfers from the future. We get much money because we collect money in the future, 100 years or so. Great.
Wow. I think that might be the biggest vision for a hackathon project, designing 100 years out. I'll let other people respond first, though.
I like the idea. I think it's nice to see. So I think the only platform right now which has seen common good funding is Gitcoin. There's also been a lot of traction within crypto, seeing good. You have quite a few protocols which are now diverting a portion of their revenues for common good funding as such. And there's been quite a few talks about quadratic funding and stuff. I like the idea of having a prediction market for the salary. I'm not sure how like a prediction market only works when there is enough people using it to be there, and I think it would be one good way to think on how to jumpstart that. But I like the idea of building a tool for common good funding as such. So it's pretty cool.
I forgot to say that I welcome the community to review the main contract of the project. It's ready. But for example, today I added an additional feature. Now it accepts DeFi tokens together with all their profits. For example, we can accept Aave, or how it's called, token and all its profits in a donation or in bequest. It accepts not only donations, but also bequests. Because we transfer money from the future, it's possible to select a date and time. It's not what this particular feature does not work now. Said after 20 years, all my money becomes transferred to the can be transferred to the project. Because they are transferred from the future, it's not very important whether it's donated or bequested, so we will get much more donations. I have also this idea. It's somehow dangerous. I don't know if I should propose it officially because it creates a danger. It might lead to a fork of Ethereum network. I might propose to transfer miners' fees, a share of miners' fees, directly to the smart contract, which does these common good things. After all, the Ethereum is created exactly to make common goods, and just need a fair way to distribute salaries. And it is the most fair way that the market can do. So scientists now, or free software developers, previously scientists worked with centralized organizations like universities. Now the market will decide. I can tell my personal story if you want. It's a funny but very scary story. You decide, Trent. Do I tell or not?
I would love to hear it, but maybe in the Discord, maybe write it out, and then we can comment on your personal story there.
Not now.
Yeah, not now. Just because we're running short on time.
Yeah, we're running a bit short on time. I'll just have some quick feedback. I think it's interesting concept. The problem with common goods funding is that generally people are capitalists and want to make money. So it's a bit hard to donate or bequest a lot of the time. So one way is something like people deposit funds into something like Aave, and the interest that is earned is, donated. So that's another way that your model might also work. And the bequesting thing, I like the idea of the bequesting thing. That's good as well.
It supports the bequesting DeFi tokens and getting all their future profits.
Yeah, but what if I only want to give the interest but not the principal amount?
The token is donated. Now the token is on my contract. It is in form of a ERC-1555 token, but that's not important. We can donate any kind of token through a wrapper. So
I understand that concept. Well, something to think about is that sometimes people have trouble donating. So instead of donating the full amount, maybe they can donate their interest stream only.
Yes, it works.
That may be
done. Already done. The contract is written. It's only to audit it, only to test and audit it. The donated token appears on my contract. Then the DeFi provider adds another token to my contract. Then anybody can call a method, a function that donates from the contract to itself. That is the token which appears to the financial DeFi interest. This token can be donated by anybody. Anybody can transfer from the contract to itself and make it an additional donation. So when somebody has ever donated a DeFi token, then anybody can afterward use its interest to donate again.
Okay, got it.
Just while we wrap up, thanks for presenting that, Victor. One thing that I think would be good for this project and many others is some sort of diagram that explains the flow of funds over time. So that would be a good thing to have when you present this next.
Seconds. This is an outdated site. You see the site of this is the diagram.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Diagrams are great because it's another way to help explain similar ideas. So I'll have to take a look at this site after reward.portandvictor.org.
It's outdated, not quite right.
Okay, well then one thing you could do is maybe give us an updated version of this, and that will help for your next pitch.
Okay, I have a scientific article about this. It's now up to date. I have also submitted it to Gitcoin. I have a pull request, draft pull request.
Oh, very good. Cool.
I have also an independent DApp, independent of Gitcoin, but the main project is Gitcoin thing, not my independent DApp. Gitcoin has database, etc. My DApp doesn't, so it's just more a demo. Gitcoin thing is real. It's useful.
Okay. I think we're going to move on to the next project, but I want to hear your story either in the Zoom chat or Discord, given we didn't have enough time to hear your personal story, but that would be good.
Oh, sorry, how? So should I call you personally? I don't understand.
No, you can just write it, right? You said you wanted to share your personal story. You can maybe in the Discord would be better because this chat will go away. But thanks for presenting. And I'll be curious to see
in Discord personally.
Yeah, just DM me. That would be fine.
Thank you. I'm turning on the sound.
All right. Next up, we're going to have Whiskey Coin.
All right, great. So I'll jump in here. Thanks for having us. My name is Jasper, and I'm working with my cousin Tillman, and our family runs a craft distillery in the United States. And actually, whiskey has some really interesting properties when you age it. It's actually kind of like an interest-bearing vehicle. So you put alcohol in a barrel, and then as it matures, it legitimately just increases in value. And that's actually pretty easy to calculate. So you have, instead of an interest-bearing account, it's basically an interest-bearing barrel, which is kind of fun. And so what we're thinking is there have been some whiskey funds that you could previously invest in. but those are really opaque and you don't actually know what you're investing in. You're just investing in these huge stockpiles of whiskey barrels and you have no visibility into what you're investing in. And you typically don't even get the product. You only get a share of some potential revenue that will be gained off the product. So what we wanted to do is actually think about how to connect whiskey enthusiasts directly to distilleries so you can invest in specific barrels and then have a stake in the actual whiskey that's going to be maturing and increasing in value over time. So our idea is the distillery, like for instance, the distillery that our family runs, would list a specific whiskey and investors could go and invest in this really stable product. And you can pretty easily calculate how much return you're going to have on a specific barrel. So for us, let's say when we produce it, it costs around $35 a bottle initially. And then once you age it for 3 or 4 years, the return is up to $50, $60, $70. And that's just kind of the primary market. But if you can create a token that represents kind of a bottle share of one of these barrels, then investors could come in, they could buy that, see the appreciation of the value of that token, as well as maybe sell it on a secondary market. And maybe the value actually increases even more than it would have if just the distillery was selling it, because it becomes a bit of a novelty item. But then the distillery would also basically back and insure that bottle for some base amount based off the return that it's going to have. So for instance, if it was going to be $70 at the end, they insure it up to half of that value. So the investor would have a really stable investment where they could redeem the bottle for a set kind of return rate, as well as paying some fees for the storage of the barrel or storage of the bottles. And then distilleries would get additional benefits for just marketing their product, as well as allowing outside people to invest in their product and whiskey enthusiasts to kind of have a hand in supporting distilleries directly. We would want to integrate with other platforms. What we're thinking is essentially if the distillery offers methods to basically buy back the bottles at certain prices, they could take and reserve those funds and put them into other interest-bearing accounts. The blockchain integrate with Aave and put it into a different interest-bearing account, so you get kind of double effect going there. But what we'd like feedback on especially is maybe other ways to integrate with other lending platforms, other services out there that would increase the value of this product. But we would be really excited to have people, whiskey enthusiasts, be able to directly see what they're investing in and then eventually redeem those actual NFTs for the whiskey itself. And we know there are a lot of regulatory challenges, but we're looking into some of those. And it seems like especially this would probably be a US exclusive product at the start, because international shipping regulation is with alcohol and spirits is not a fun thing to wade into. But that's the general idea. Just more transparency in what you're investing in and more benefit for the distillery themselves, rather than these giant whiskey funds being these anonymous barrels that you actually don't ever get to have the whiskey. So that's our idea. Would love some feedback.
Okay, cool. Very cool idea. My first point you already addressed, which is there's probably some regulations around this you're going to have to look into. It's probably some flavor of security, because you're expecting your barrel management in your facility, it's the expectation of your activity that would cause the increase in value. The other question is, how would you handle, is there a barrel inspector agency? Who's the oracle in this case?
So what we would do and how we would try to align the incentives is we would say, for instance, for one barrel, you would only have a certain percentage available for the public. So the distillery would own some and be invested in the quality of the product. I know you'd have to still trust the distillery to be invested in that, whatever share they have. But if it's 20, 30, 40%, that is a significant investment from the distillery. So they'd want to ensure the quality of the product. There are a lot of whiskey clubs that are out there, and they have some sort of administrator that they sample the barrels from time to time to make sure that there's no issues with the quality of the whiskey. So what we were thinking is you'd have just updates from the distillery, or maybe even if it's a platform, some other third-party members that would post updates as they do tastings, or even people that invest certain percentage of a barrel. Like let's say I own maybe 10% of this barrel, then I'm entitled to semi-annual tastings of the barrel and quality controls. So offering incentives to have people invest more and to be more invested in a certain product that way.
Yeah, I love the idea. I've seen another sort of example of this. I think someone in Argentina, they own a winery and did a similar thing, and it seemed to work quite well for them. So yeah, I'd buy this token, even though I'm international, and I'd speculate on it. But it would be cool if you could have some webcam hooked up, and then for token holders can like look in and watch their whiskey getting distilled.
Whiskey
but
view.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Some whiskey view. I think adding more components of making it valuable for the token holders would be interesting. And then I think there would be a lot of speculative nature. I mean, just look at Unisocks, what happened there. So it would be interesting if, even if you couldn't do international shipping for whiskey, even if you did socks or some other thing that sort of represents that might be cool.
A great idea.
And then from a more bigger, I guess, business perspective, because I've seen this idea a few times, it might be interesting to generalize this, right? Because maybe you have a technical team, then maybe there's other distilleries or wineries or, companies that want to do this. Because it's sort of like a Kickstarter for this stuff, right?
Exactly.
Essentially.
Yeah, and you could use the same model for wineries, breweries are especially popular now. So anything that has some bottling or aging period, it works really well. And it doesn't have to be so long term. Like whiskey is multiple years, but it also could work in a condensed time frame too. And we're thinking maybe another potential is to use it to gauge demand of different products. So if you're, for instance, a distillery or even a brewery, you could list several things, and then people, whichever one gets the most initial interest and the most initial purchases, that's the one you make. So people are also have power into actually choosing what gets made. Meat, I see that in chat.
I think also for the previous winery one I've heard of, they would have because it depends on the weather for wine. So it's certain years, like you speculate on the year that whatever reason you think this year is going to be good or next year is going to be good. So maybe you could experiment around product lines like that as well. Where it's like, okay, we're going to do an experimental thing with this whiskey and add a bit more of this or store this in this sort of temperature.
Exactly, and the whole
interesting as well.
And the craft market, especially at this level, like we're talking single barrel releases, you can get really creative. Like a lot of distilleries now, for instance, you finish it in a wine barrel and then you get this like sherry finish on a whiskey. So you can offer really unique products if you're at the barrel level rather than these warehouse level investments.
Yeah, super interesting idea. I'll be curious to see like what sort of things you end up submitting, and like, because obviously this is like, you guys are attaching this to a real business, or you intend to. So that's a big vision. So it'll be interesting to see what you end up submitting. Cool idea.
Whiskey airdrop already.
Yeah.
One interesting idea for you to explore, and that would be that these whiskey tokens could also form collaterals in Aave and all, right? They actually have real value and they're more solid. So that would be a very good if you could integrate within the DeFi space as collaterals, accepted collaterals within the money markets in DeFi, right? That would create some and value premium value to the added value to over the whiskey value as such.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for sharing. We're going to move on to Zenbit, which is Habakkuk Vera.
Hi, guys. I'm Habakkuk from Zenbit. We are developing Aztec, a gamified onboarding solution for Ethereum newcomers that helps players to develop digital skills while interacting with NFTs and MetaMask interaction in a point-and-click adventure. It worked with crypto collectibles minted on NFTs, where every item has a function inside the game, from moving to attacking and claiming rewards from our test token. To use these tools, users must have the NFTs on their wallets and must learn how to sync transactions, check gas fees, use Block Explorer, or burn tokens. In this way, we are planning to reach newcomers in Mexico and Latin America, since financial and digital gaps keep most people away from these tools. So this is the main idea.
Is this going to be on mainnet or a sidechain like Matic or something like that?
For now, we have minted some the NFTs on the mainnet, and also for us it's now a time for learning. So we deploy a test token on the mainnet because well, it's a way for us to learn how the Ethereum virtual machine actually works. But we are not planning to use this for commercial purposes. We actually want to learn other users to use the Ethereum virtual machine. And in using NFTs, we are finding that it's easier for people to understand what they are doing on the platforms. So, well, in this way, we are for now planning to use React and MetaMask. And probably for further implementations or a token that could be audited and working in a proper way. We start on the test net and then deploy on the mainnet. But for now, we are trying to explore and know our capabilities on the mainnet.
Do you need to, I guess I don't know the full scope of what you're building, but do you need to interact with mainnet protocols, or is your goal to just get people familiar with interacting with a blockchain generally?
We plan to use the NFTs as a funding way for a startup. So the NFTs are minted on the mainnet for this reason. But the purpose of the project is to learn other users here in Mexico how to interact with blockchain, with how to learn the Ethereum interactions, how to check the gas fees. That it's kind of the main barriers for new users to start using Ethereum protocols. So, I think the guidance you can give us will be very valuable for us.
Yeah, I guess I'm not maybe I just didn't hear it, or I'm not understanding. If this is an educational venture, but you also have some NFTs which are tied to it, are the NFTs, the reward? Or if it's just an educational thing, this could all happen off chain, right? Or on a side chain. One of the big problems that any project that's onboarding new, fresh users is, they're, like you said, they're not used to gas fees. They don't understand what all this stuff is. They're used to Web 2. So if you're just trying to educate them, couldn't this occur off chain or on a side chain or a layer 2?
Right.
Definitely something to consider. One of the projects you might be interested in looking at is called rabbithole.gg. They do something similar, if you've heard of them. It's like campaigns with Aave and a couple other projects where they get people to interact with the protocols and then they earn XP. Sort of similar to what you're doing. Maybe you can get some good suggestions from them.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, education is a good space. I think another idea that I've seen is if you have people pay something upfront, if they're capable of, and then you pull that money into something like Aave, so it gains interest, and by the time they finish whatever the course is, maybe they're able to withdraw a bit more than they put in, right? So there's an incentive for them to finish the educational course, but also there's a financial benefit for them.
It's actually, we try to gamify this educational part. So it's an experimental game. It's a point and click adventure working with NFTs. So the NFTs are tools working inside the game that could help with users to like claim tokens or sign transactions. I understand the limitations that that we are mostly using the testnet first, but understanding these transactions or understanding how the mainnet works, I think it's interesting for us probably not to get users to buy the NFTs, but to give them the NFTs, and then they start to use the mainnet. And well, I understand that the NFTs could be a variable interest capabilities with connected with Aave. So we are on the early stage, but probably in the time frame of the hackathon, for our capabilities probably will be limited to implement Aave, but definitely it's a point that we want to explore, that probably give an NFT that could be gaining interest from an Aave vault, and in that way get more familiarities for new users on this more complex protocol.
Mm-hmm. Yep, got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if I can give some feedback, is like for the final pitch, better if like you are specific on exactly what you build, because, for example, from my perspective, I felt that there were like a lot of brainstorming on your side, like multiple ideas related with education, with NFT, with funding, but it was not really clear what you are building. So better if you, for example, if you center on the educational part and like trying to teach people in there about blockchain in general, like just center the pitch on that. I think it will be good.
Yeah. Well, we will focus on gamify this experience, this educational experience, but I understand that we must work on how to communicate the idea to be clearer, and I hope that the app or the work on this hackathon could help to get a more clear visual idea how this can be working.
Yeah, sounds great.
Thank you.
So, Ashab, do you have anything? If not, we can move on.
No, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing the UI. I think that would be easier to visualize what they're building, right?
Sorry.
Yeah. He said he's looking forward to seeing the UI. It will make it easier to visualize.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, great. So we're down to the last few minutes where David, and I know David has to leave, Ernesto, Shaisav, I just want to thank you all for spending the last hour and a half with us. We're going to try to get through one more really quick, and then I think they probably have some other things to get to, but I will stick around, and I'm not going to claim to be able to give the same caliber of feedback, but I will be happy to listen to any and all pitches for however long it takes to get through everybody. So thank you again to you three, and we're going to do one more quick one. And that would be Sake, credit score for lending platforms.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am Igor from Sake, and we're working on building on Aave's credit delegation feature by introducing under collateralized loans to the community through a credit score system. And we're actually thinking about approaching it in several ways, and we wanted your input on what you think would be the more interesting route to take. So one of the directions was to analyze the user address's borrowing history by checking the lending platform history and updating it over time with the graph as they interact with more protocols. So if you are taking out loans on, say, Aave, and you're paying them back on time, and we see that you're building up a good consistent history, then we slowly increase your token balance. But as you maybe do some things that would be considered something that a bad actor might do or something that would be higher risk, then we would adjust it lower. And I have my friend Oscar that will describe to you the other side of it.
Hey everybody, my name is Oscar. Basically, the other idea is to use a sort of a token that would be staked every time you get a loan, and the process of decreasing or increasing your loan would occur inside the contract of the loan itself. So if you like get a good payment, your tokens will get a boost, versus if you actually pay like late or you don't actually pay, your tokens will get a decrease or actually stop existing basically. So one is more simplistic, the other one would be more advanced, let's say like that. We're still debating. Basically, we came out with the idea of scanning the history last night. So we're still thinking on it. We're also not really sure how to integrate Aave here. We wonder if like we create a protocol like Aave is able to just say, okay, our lending pool contract can be modified to actually absorb your guys' idea. You know.
So I think you mentioned credit delegation, right?
Oh yes, credit delegation. Yeah.
Yeah. So credit delegation is enough. That's a Aave feature. So yeah, that sounds really good. Cool. Just my quick feedback. Yeah, I think it's really good. Maybe you can try and combine those two aspects. I mean, the more information you can take into account, the less risky it will be for the lenders. One thing I've seen in the market is that you can start with collateralized loans for certain lenders, and then as they pay back those loans, you slowly reduce the collateral that is needed. Then eventually it becomes under collateralized, and then eventually becomes no collateral. So that could be another model where they essentially build a profile with your platform.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about through the credit score system.
Yeah, that's exactly the route we were thinking. Like start with like, let's say 0.75 excess of your collateral, and basically the tokens or your credit score will be able to buy you leverage on your collateral.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. Yeah.
If I can give like a bit more like technical or economic advice, is that you need to be aware that, for example, if you integrate this system in Aave and you want to monitor like repayments, like you say, that repayment is a good action, it's not so simple sometimes to identify if it's a repayment or not. So you will need to be really aware if the person is like doing, for example, like borrowing and then repaying and then borrowing and then repaying. So it's just increasing his profile, those kind of tricks, which in blockchain sometimes is a bit difficult to control. And also how this will be optimal in terms of execution, like if it will be expensive or not, because if you need to spend gas for every action to increase or decrease the credit score, it could be problematic.
Sure. Yeah, that's what we're thinking. Basically, maybe the more simplistic way where like your loans, your contract in each loan actually takes care of the increasing or decreasing of the score will work, because it will be less expensive, right? And we were actually thinking, like what you say is actually true. You know, like a person can just like ask for a loan and then repay the first day, get a boost, and then do the same the next day, and we'll have like an huge increase on their credit score, right? So we're thinking more like depending on how long you stayed on the loan and paid interest, that's how you would like boost your credit score, basically. Like how much interest did you pay, and in proportion of that you will get an increase on your credit score, basically.
Yeah,
I was going to say, if would this work, Ernesto? If as long as they have an abstraction on top of, say Aave, so all their users interact with abstraction, so then they know exactly which events, valid repays, and maybe they could have enforce that you can't just go, borrow, repay. You have to have the, borrow for at least a certain period of time.
Yeah. I mean, if you involve time and you have installments of repaying the loan, even doing some product with fully fixed interest, at that point is a bit more solid for sure. I agree.
All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much for your input.
How I see, so I actually see what you guys are building as two separate components as such. One is the credit score and one is the lending, and it's not necessarily connected. Like the credit score, if you build a good credit score, it could be used by Aave or any other protocol. So there is the need of credit score within DeFi as such to enable under collateralized loan, right? Till now, there is not successfully or large scale deployment of a credit score. I like the idea that you guys want to pick on-chain data and use that to score users, right? I just wonder what would be, so I think initially it was mentioned that the idea is that there'll be some bad actions, right? How do you, I think it would be good to identify what are these bad actions which could reduce your credit score, because right now if you take any on-chain data, right, that if it's from Compound or if it's from Aave, all of them are over collateralized loans, so everyone's paying back because he's there's a higher value locked in the contract and there's a penalty if he gets liquidated, right? So everyone would be a good borrower, I would think, right? Like what is a bad borrower in the current system where everyone's over collateralized?
Yeah, and I guess that's our question as well. It's we kind of don't know where exactly to focus. Like, do we build this credit score for the existing system, or do we create a sandbox where it can be used, where we can tally it up maybe more effectively? But yeah, you are correct that we need to provide some sort of a system for the existing systems over collateralized loan process.
Yeah, but I really think credit score as a segment to build something in it and solve it's a big problem that needs solving. So in that, the good thing is you guys have taken a big challenge, right? So that's the good part, right? And it's means hackathons are the best time to try these challenges, right? Instead of trying solving small problems, trying to take a big challenge. So it's good to see what you guys will build, but I think it's a very interesting area to work and try solve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we are going to wrap up the official feedback session with David, Ernesto, and Saishab. I want to thank them again for giving their time and their accumulated expertise to give feedback to all the hackers. Like I said, I will be sticking around. So if anybody wants just general feedback on your pitch or just chat about your idea, I will continue on in this stream. But we will let David, Ernesto, and Saishab go if they have to.
Bye, guys. Really good.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, really good. Also, feel free to post in the Aave sponsor channel, and then we can both me and Ernesto can comment there as well later on if you want.
And thanks to Trent for being an amazing host, right?
Of course.
Thanks, Trent.
Thank you, guys. All right. So next up was ETHGlobal. We'll see who sticks around to get my feedback. Again, no, everybody's not obligated to stay. If they were looking for specific feedback from people, that's totally fine. You can always hit them up in Discord as well. But we're going to keep on trucking until we run out of people. Is the ETHGlobal team here?
Yeah, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Yes, hello, my name is Bogdan Sivachkin. I represent ETHGlobal team from Novosibirsk. And I want to tell you about our project, cross-chain DEX, DEX pool. So we are going to build a cross-chain decentralized exchange and with the multi-chain liquidity pool. And now I will tell you what the problem are we going to solve. Now we have that. I didn't share screen. Sorry. So I'm sorry. One moment, please. So we are building DEX pool. Now everybody knows that there are a lot of different blockchains online. Okay, there is Ethereum, a lot of other networks, and all of them are separated. And there is a lot of liquidity blocked in, especially in Ethereum and also in other pools. And also we figured out that there is a big need for some people to use liquidity from one chain to use it on another and to make it quick. So the problem that we are solving is poor user experience, liquidity blocked in chains, and also of truly decentralized exchanges, because for example Binance Smart Chain, okay, it's really good, it has a lot of millions of users, but actually everybody have to trust some party, okay, Binance. So okay, it's working, but we are trying to build decentralized world. Okay, so the next slide. What is our solution? We try to use production-ready solutions to integrate chains. It's Chainlink. We can read data from we can read data in our smart contracts from another chain using Chainlink external adapter. And another feature of our project is, what we achieve when we connect different blockchains together. Okay, what we achieve? The main thing we achieve the liquidity. We achieve the liquidity free from being locked in different places. So we build a multi-chain liquidity pool. We read data and we can change state of smart contracts in another pool, in another chains. And also to make good user experience, we adopted MetaMask to connect to different chains at the same time. On the next slide, I want to show you a little bit technical details on how is our system built. So we have in the center, we have Chainlink network. We have external adapters being connected on both directions, from one chain to another, and for example, from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain and other direction. We have main smart contracts DEX pool. We can swap tokens. We can add liquidity. We can add any asset from Ethereum to this liquidity pool, and also the user can what I didn't say, very important thing, that the user can, for example, provide the asset, for example, USDT from Ethereum network, and he want to get, for example, BNB from Binance Smart Chain, and our system can achieve it. So this slide shows smart contracts and how they communicate with networks and with each other. Okay, and I represent our company DGU.
Great. So my first question is, what is the actual substrate that you're building this on? Is it living just on Ethereum, and then you have something relaying calls between chains, or is it something like Cosmos where you're sitting in between chains?
we have for now we are building one side is Binance Smart Chain and other side is Ethereum.
Okay, so you go ahead.
And we have only our system is only that was on the slide that there is a Chainlink node. There is some script on Chainlink node called external adapter. It can connect to external chain to read data and to change state. And we can call this external adapter from our smart contract. So the only thing we have is we have front end. We have some code on Chainlink node, and we have two blockchain networks. That's it. We do not have backend.
Okay. What are the trust assumptions here? Like, are you the only Chainlink node that's providing this bespoke data, or is it? Would you try to get a bunch of different Chainlink?
This is the next. This is next step of our plan that we want to provide our adapter. We will publish it on Chainlink market, and anybody can use it. There is some technical problems how to do it, but we will do it, and we can. And any participant can in the future he can use our adapter, run it on his own Chainlink node. So we want the system to be really decentralized. You know, we do not want to provide service of Chainlink adapters. You know.
Sure, no, that makes sense. And the big vision, the big picture goal is to integrate as many chains as possible, or do you have a limit on how many chains you would try to?
Yeah, sure. You know, yeah, sure. This is our look in the future. That of course we want to integrate as much as possible, but this is only our first step. You know.
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. It's pretty big for a hackathon to make a cross-chain swap project like this. I don't have anything specific other than that, but I think I have a good understanding of what you are building, and it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks.
Okay, thank you very much. Boris, did you want to add something, Boris?
No.
Okay,
that's good.
Great. So what do you hope to submit by the end of the hackathon?
I think in the end of the hackathon we will submit a liquidity pool that will have a structure of token. And I think we will submit the exchange of one token from any one token from one chain to any token from another. I mean, some minimum functionality.
Yeah.
We swap different tokens by other blockchain, like Uniswap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be a pretty big accomplishment. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for presenting. Next is, I don't know if Derek is still here. Derek, do you want to share what you're working on? Three, two, one. Looks like a lot of people have dropped off, but that's okay. Next up is Porgy.
Yes, we're here. We have waited for a chance to have.
Hey, go ahead. Yeah, share what you're working on.
Yeah, sure. So in Porgy, we have basically looked into the ideas of what had been presented by the whole community, and we have come up with the idea of continuous coin offering. The idea is that we want to build a more robust and engaging model in comparison to what the current ICO provides to the blockchain community. The plan lies in locking up the investments and releasing the investments batch by voting on project achievements for a milestone. So let's say right now we have a project for a season of 1 year, and yeah, we have like a fundraising that is divided to 4 quarters, and we are releasing every quarter after we have voted, like the whole community have voted for the project to continue and to basically reject the project after the achievements have been presented. And yeah, the locked portions which are left are basically being lent on the Aave market. So it basically creates 2 incentives for for those who are interested in the project to gain some interest, and as well as have the token and to participate in the movement of the project. Like this is how we want to do it. So
cool.
Yeah, as a background, I just want to say that firstly, it is unfortunate that the ICO popularity is going down. And the ICO is basically providing a big roadmap. It's like a waterfall kind of development thing. And what we want is to get back to the roots of such guys as YC or 500 startups, where you present the idea and you want everybody who who has the internet to engage with you, and they can tell you as the first 100 fans what is okay and what can be rejected. So yeah, this is what we want to present. Is like for the hackathon is to make some kind of a UI where we show how it is so easy to actually be an angel investor in no regards of how much you own or you have, just to participate and to vote.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that the ICO boom, it's a lot of issues. So seeing different models is definitely good to have options for projects that are launching. One thing you might want to look at, maybe you've come across it in your research, is called a DAICO, DAICO, and it has some similar mechanisms. The article I linked in the chat is from last year, but I think this has been around for at least 2 years now. Actually, I think Vitalik came with the original idea after 2017, maybe 2018. Similar idea to what you're describing. So maybe you can pull some of those concepts from there and integrate them, where like there are checkpoints that you want to reach, and then it unlocks tranches. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. So yeah, this is all. I don't want to stop the next ones.
Yeah, one question is, are you making your own contracts, or are you going to build on somebody else's contracts?
We want to make our own contracts.
Okay.
And yeah, this is just the vanilla Solidity and some front end.
Cool. I'm excited. Better models or more models is always better.
Thanks.
Thanks for presenting. Winvoy, where you at?
I'm here.
He's here. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diego, and I'm half of Winvoy, the Winvoy team. And what we want to build is a tool to help companies get access to invoice finance, on demand and selective. So basically what we want to do is get the credit from Aave and then delegate it to our users based on different criteria. So there will be 4 different participants in this scenario. Let's say small company called Aave Limited would be selling to other companies, and they would be using Winvoy to request payments, create invoices, get access to invoice finance, etc. There will be a second participant, big company, which is Aave's client, and they tend to request their vendors to invoice them in net 90, which basically usually has some pretty big effect on the cash flow for Aave and smaller companies. Then ourselves, Winvoy, so basically helping them manage all the account receivables and the on-demand selective invoice financing, and then Aave as the liquidity provider in this case. And we're looking at 2 main flows. So the main one, which would be as well what we will submit, hopefully, by the end of the hackathon, which is first flow would be Winvoy, a user onboarding a client within Winvoy for the first time. So let's say Acme Limited inputs big company as a client in Winvoy. Winvoy would basically check big company's credit score with a credit oracle or maybe off chain. We'll have to figure out how to do that. And then Winvoy would see that these big companies, let's say in this case, low risk. Winvoy then would go and check Aave's lending rates. And with this information, Winvoy would give Acme Limited an estimate that every invoice issued to this big company will cost around, let's say, 2% per month to advance. It's an example. Now, the second main flow would be when Acme actually requests a payment from the big company. In this case, they, let's say, request a payment for 100,000 USD. With Winvoy, they set up the payment requests and they offer the potential to pay immediately with a 5% discount, or they offer the option to pay in 90 days as the big company is requesting. Now, the big company is gonna receive the payment request and will most likely, let's say in this case, select the option to pay in 90 days. At that point, Winvoy will check again Aave's rates, just in case they haven't changed. Also, the risk score for this company will make a decision and will basically come back to Acme saying, hey, your client has decided to pay you in 90 days with this invoice. We can offer you to get the money immediately at a 2% per month fee, which is equivalent to 24% APR. So Acme in this case, let's say, says, okay, we want the advance, we want the money right now. So they would get the 94,000 USD, which is 100,000 minus the 2% per month times 3 months, this 90 days on the terms. That will trigger Winvoy borrowing from Aave, this 94,000, and depositing the funds in Acme's account. And 90 days later, when the big company pays back the 100,000 USD through Winvoy, 94,000 of this USD plus the fees would go to repay the loan on Aave, and Winvoy would be basically generating around 4K USDC or USD in fees for Winvoy. Now you might have a question. It's like, why would we use Aave's funds if we have the funds ourselves to pay for that collateral? And the main idea is that we're basically trying to prove the concept of this working, and then we will, after the hackathon, explore different options. One is that we're thinking about potentially crowdsourcing the collateral from other investors and then sharing the fees that Winvoy earns with them. Another option could be potentially speaking with Aave and maybe by providing some sort of insurance or very, very rock solid credit scoring, reduce the need for collateral. That's probably a long shot, but we'll see. And the other one could be potentially creating our own liquidity pools and protocol so that we can just use Aave to serve peaks of demand. So basically have some sort of like load balancing. So yeah, that's Winvoy.
Very cool. Yeah, I linked one project which has done something similar, Centrifuge, maybe you're familiar with it, but the tokenizing invoices is, I think, something that blockchain is uniquely suited for because it gets everybody on the same backend, basically, and they don't have to worry about integrating with other enterprise systems that have different requirements, different licenses. So this is perfect. And the thing I haven't seen before with these invoicing or tokenizing invoice systems is a credit score, which would be very interesting because it's just another way to evaluate the risk of whoever's participating in this market. One question is, Aave only does variable rate loans right now, right?
On V2, they have a stable, no?
They might. I'm asking.
Yeah, well,
if they have a stable rate, that's good. That's very good, because obviously if you're lending or you're withdrawing capital from Aave, you don't want it to spike up to 70%, and that kind of ruins that'll ruin your calculations. But cool, I really like the idea. What's your background? Do you come from anything related to this, or is it just something that you came across and thought it was a good idea?
A mix of the two. So my background is in fintech. I used to be head of product at a different company, well, fintech in London, and was B2C. But we started, me and my co-founder basically started checking the market and doing market research, and saw that this is a real need, especially for small and medium companies.
Right. Yeah. These smaller companies are kind of at the mercy of the 90 days, and they need that liquidity now to pay suppliers, or it's definitely a problem that I've heard come up frequently. So I don't know if I have any other specific feedback, but definitely check out Tin Lake from Centrifuge. I put the link in the chat, and maybe you'll be able to get some inspiration there, or some other features to include.
Sounds good. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for presenting.
Yes.
All right, my error is I think I skipped over Derek. So Derek, if you want to present now, you can go ahead.
Yo, what's up, hackers worldwide? Everything.
How's it going, man?
Thanks, Trent, for putting me back up on the list. Unfortunately, the internet fell here, but okay. So what I'm hacking on this hackathon is using the Aave government contract. So I forked that up. And Ernesto was talking about how you can use tokens to be like the key entry into the contract. So I can actually pull in a token that already exists in the mainnet or on Matic mainnet, and use that to be like a key entry. So to make things a little bit more fun, I'm trying to hack an ERC 721 and ERC 20 as the key entry points. So like, if you want to be part of voting up on, I don't know, different things and making changes to the system, or appointing, like anything you can do with voting on the Aave government, we would be actually using these two tokens instead of Aave and Aave stake. And on top of that, I just want to maybe during the hack, like during the hackathon, talk a little bit more with the Aave guys and see what else I can, go forking up and just reuse that and try to pull more good things into this project. So basically, how my hack is happening is I create an ERC 721. I use JSON RPC to centralize these IDs. I wish it could be totally decentralized, but we actually need to make this KYC, and KYC is a little bit punkish. It's very hard, just to KYC through computer, and if the computer can access all of that, and I'm hacking solo. So I was actually thinking of using this Terra ID to actually make it into a centralized, decentralized system. So the person has it, it's with him. I can share and just show you where I'm at right now. So, yay, let's hack together, hacky guys. I really do hope everybody's okay. I live like in the middle of the rainforest, and man, we're having serious problems here. A lot of people are dying, so a lot of health and blessings. Okay, so I already tested on OpenSea. So like ERC 721 is totally coming up, and this is pretty cool. And then I made another I made another contract. This is actually the beta one. I made a gamma one, and I experimented sending it to my MetaMask in my wallets, in my Rickaby wallet. So I don't know if you guys see me or if you guys only see my share screen, but right now, like actually on MetaMask. So do you guys see this? Do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So this is pretty cool because we're like where I live in Brazil, it's the second country that's most hacked in the world. So like we lose millions and millions and millions of real money, and a lot of people are losing their money, and like the people that actually lose this money are like unprotected by service and unprotected by like a real, you know, authentication. So I just want to make this, you know, like just start paving a road into something better, you know. So these are ERC-721s are corresponding to MetaMask, and they're perfectly good. So I already have an ERC-20 deployed on mainnet. So I just want to join both of this and the ERC-20 as a entry point into governance, and use that to actually start decentralizing my city and decentralizing my people into, I don't know, Industrial Revolution 6.0 and 5.0, you know. So basically that's my hack. What I was gonna do as the you know, just gonna use the fork governance and start working on top of this, you know, just changing it up and doing things through here, because I really don't have a team, so I'm just gonna use what I can, you know. Like if you have a samurai sword, you use your samurai sword. If you have an entire army, you use your entire army. So I'm just the guy with a katana. I'm gonna use this katana to actually be hacking on ETHGlobal. Right here on contracts, that's what Ernesto explained right here on governance strategy. So basically, so we're pulling up this address and the constructor, that's address Aave and address stake Aave. So I'm just gonna be changing these to the Rinkeby testnets, and I'm gonna start, you know, testing it out, see if the governance after it's compiled and deployed is going to be working with the ERC 7.1 as an entry point. Probably gonna have to, you know, just study this a little bit, because ERC 721, it's not a transfer call. So like if we pull up the interface, you see it's total supply balance stuff. So I'm gonna have to hack a little bit this and just see how I interface this with the ERC 721, so that these can be the main entry points into the governance system. Another thing that I want to do is, just by using the Stera ID, since the governance is using powers, you know, like, so he explained it quite well. So like I can have 1,000 ERC-20 tokens, Stera tokens, so like 1,000 reforested trees, but I can have like 3 documents of Terra ID. Like I have my ID, I have my driver's ID. So the more you KYC yourself into the system, the more ERC 721s you deploy into the system, the more regulated and transparent you are, the better, you know. And like in case you lose your documents, I can just, since it's a centralized place, I can just go back into the, so I can just go back here and like in the shop or in the store or in the, I don't know, I was thinking like a little booth in the shopping mall where we can start, you know, just making the people here more transparent, because this is a real big problem. So like if somebody loses their ID, like I can just rebound here and I just erase it up, you know, like, so even if the bandit actually gets all of their documents, I can just create a new ID and I'll just put an image gateway, like negate it, you know, like this ID is negated. And I know it's centralized, but when we're talking about documents and things like that, I don't think we'll ever actually get to a totally decentralized thing with documents. That's where my hack is right now. So we can pull this info, we can pull the info from the ERC-20, and I want to mix it up and finance in it, and just study a little bit more of Aave. You know, just study a little bit more of Aave and see what else I can inherit into this project. And that's about it, I think. Trent?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I just stopped your sharing because your audio was cutting out. But yeah, so if I were to summarize, you are building an identity system based on the Aave governance contract.
Yeah.
Cool.
And all of the IDs are actually the more KYC you put into. So like I want an ID. Okay, so now I want a lawyer's ID. So like there are different documents in Brazil that like Brazil's totally bureaucratic. You know, like if you want to do something, it takes like 1 year to actually regulate one crypto here, and maybe 2 years. So it took like almost a year and a half to actually regulate my crypto here. So for documents, it's the same shit. You know, like if you wanna get a driver's license, it's like a 3-month process. This is already you having one. You just want to remit one or remit a new one. So it's very complicated. So what happens is, since you're having the power of your documents, you already have voting power, and with voting power and some ERC20, if you have both of these, you already have enough voting power to participate. And we can centralize it in a forum, so people can be giving their opinions, and in a decentralized way, we can create proposals for voting. Now, there is one problem. I haven't tested it all the way. So like maybe when people start voting, people can go into the EtherScan, see who's voting for, and, you know, like maybe pull the breadcrumbs back up to find who that person is. So to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm thinking that I'm not going to put the entire ID number. I'm just going to put the last 4 or 5 digits and explain to him, look, this is just an extra layer of security, or I don't know, because, or I just put the entire number and I just say, look, this is an extra layer of security. Every time you're going to do something in Brazil, you can show your ID, you can show your CPF, you can show all of your documents, and then you can just pull up your iPhone. And actually, to regulate this in Brazil, we would have to go to Congress, you know, to approve of this kind of application. But it's a really good step, you know, so that we can try testing it out on people here in my city and just see how things go, you know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what sort of engagement you get. I'm definitely interested to see that.
So what's your opinion about this? What do you think I should work on? What do you think I should go to?
I think, I don't know if I see this scaling super huge, given it's a manual system that you're operating, but it could be interesting for smaller scale identity and voting systems for sure.
I was thinking of organizing it like, okay, so like, let's say that I make this into a business. It would be kind of like people, one is the designer, like just like you would do a normal ID, you know, like when you go take off your ID, there's actually like 4 or 5 desks that you move in through, you know, like give me your documents. Okay, the designer's already taking your picture and putting it on the Terra ID or something like that, and then the other person is already hacking it on GitHub, you know, because this is made on GitHub. So after all of that is done, sorry guys, I'm kind of sick. So on the fourth desk, he would actually pay for the purchase of the ERC 721, and then we would, you know, it would need it to be centralized and decentralized at the same time. So he would have his things in his phone. That would just be an extra layer of identity.
I think one thing that I mentioned to other projects is it would be good to see a diagram of how you see, you know, the user flow or the trust assumptions throughout this, just to get a bigger holistic picture of what you're actually building. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more next week. It's like,
but it's because I'm still jointly. That's where I'm at right now. You know, like as a desk, as a physical, how we would sell this to people, like in a booth in the shopping mall or something like that. I haven't done the entire flow, but I'll have to do it for the hackathon. Of course, I'll have to do that because I think it's interesting as well, Master.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing. We're going to move on to the next project, though.
Thank you.
That would be Ryan Snyder. Are you here? I do not hear Ryan, so we're going to go to the next one, which is Flash Daddies.
Yeah, hey Trent.
How's it going, Tom?
Yeah, good, thanks. Cheers for hanging on. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Anything for the hackers. Go ahead, man.
Cool. So, the team that I'm with, we had an idea to, in lieu of actually preventing front runners, which are, you know, a pretty bad thing that's happening at the moment, you know, we'd have to cooperate with an exchange and have some encrypted transactions, and it's pretty tricky. So we thought instead of that, we would detect front runs and award the addresses that did the front run with some sort of token to kind of highlight or to take the mic, basically. And then the the person who did the original transaction, they would get kind of the opposite token to that. So then there'll be like a balance of like an untoken for the person who front run, and then a positive token to the person who had their transaction front run. That's basically the idea.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So is this purely just like a feel-good system, or is there a sort of monetary value attached to these?
Well, more of a feel-good system. It would be kind of ironic if the negative token got some monetary value, and then the people who we were rewarding them to got money out of it. It could do, like, you know, it's an open market, isn't it? It's a free market, so that can always happen. But it's more kind of a basis to highlight addresses that have been front running a lot, and then maybe exchanges could take note of that. You know, they could see, oh, this account has got a lot of these negative tokens. Maybe we will like not take transactions from them, or something along those lines in the future. Who knows? Yeah, until we can solve front running, this might be a fun way just to kind of like shame those who steal other people's hard work.
Yeah, that's interesting. So how would you what's your method for surfacing front running? Because it's not, you know, there's not like a label on Etherscan that says, hey, I'm front running. How are you actually figuring that out?
So looking at the mined blocks, finding identical transactions, but just with slightly different gas fees. So the higher gas fee obviously would get mined first, and that will be the one that has front run the one with lower gas. And then if the front run transaction, because there could be multiple front run transactions for one as well, so it could be like several going. Or for the original transaction, maybe it's still stuck in the mempool somewhere. So it would be a case of trying to analyze the mempool a bit, look out for that original transaction with the lower gas, with the timestamp as well. You know, the first one's going to be the first one, and then the later one's always going to have a later timestamp. So yeah, a couple of ways of potentially finding it. But yeah, it could be quite fun.
It would basically just be a best guess. You would have these rules that you set up, and then you have a rough idea of like, yeah, this is probably front running, so we're gonna, you know, award them a token or not, depending on this rough framework.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, cool. Somebody in the chat also mentioned this, but I was thinking that it might, I don't even know if you need a token. It could just be a leaderboard of tracking, because otherwise then you'd have to, who's going to pay for the ETH gas costs to transfer all these tokens?
Yeah.
Were you planning on doing that?
Well, it'll be ideal to send them tokens. Yeah, it would cost money at the moment. Maybe with ETH2, it'll be a lot cheaper to send these tokens, who knows, or if gas prices come down a bit. Or do batch updates as well. So perhaps like once a day, we could send out one transaction and just send out all of these tokens for everyone in one go. The problem with having a leaderboard is, you know, where's it going to be hosted, and is it going to be accessible and that sort of thing. Whereas if you just give them tokens, they can't deny it. They can't kind of refute them. They could send them elsewhere, perhaps. Then it's kind of just open on the blockchain, decentralized as much as possible. We would have to have some, like a Raspberry Pi or something, analyzing the blockchain to see what's going on, and have some server somewhere running the back end. But generally, have it as decentralized as possible. So it could be quite fun to have a leaderboard, as you say, like somewhere you could go and like an EtherScan type thing, where you can click and see what transactions they've taken. That might be
because I mean, like at the end of the hackathon, or whenever you're done with this project, like what is the output going to be? Because you can have all these tokens issued, but you're going to want to track them somewhere, right? I don't know. You're not going to want to go to EtherScan for each address, see if they have it. You will need a way to track this eventually. So maybe the output would be this leaderboard, whether you host it or not, or there's a more decentralized way to host it on IPFS, ENS.
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting idea. I like it.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for your input, and thanks again.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. Bharat asked if this chat is going to get lost. Typically, I mean, we say the Zoom chat gets saved, but we don't publish it. If there's something specific you'd like to go back through to see, I can definitely pull that out. But for now, we don't publish the Zoom chat. Thanks for sharing, Tom.
Cool. Thank you, Trent.
Romain Figuero.
Okay, hey, Romain is not here because he has to go back to work, so I'm gonna present for Paladin project.
Sure.
So basically, what we want to do is use all the like have a new use for all the governance token that people just get to for the value and don't use on the with the governance side, like they don't vote on Aave proposition and stuff. So we want to have a new money Lego, like pools where people can provide their Aave tokens, and other can just borrow the tokens to use the delegating power to vote or to propose some stuff on the Aave governance system. And what would be interesting with our system is that the tokens, the Aave token, for example, will not leave the protocol. We'll use smart contracts and the delegate function from the Aave token to give the power to the user that borrows, so the voting power, but it does not get the Aave token, it just get the delegation power. And we have a small contract that we create for the borrow, and that get that just store the amount of Aave token he asked for, and we send it back to the pool later. And we'll have a stable system to pay the borrowing fees, and so to swap those stablecoin back to Aave token or COM token later to get interest to the liquidity providers, having a kind of similar system than Compound or Aave have with the token that represents for example, the Aave token you put in the pool, so the liquidity you provided. So that we call the V token for now. Yeah, so for the hackathon, we want to like having a proof of concept of this protocol and working with so the Aave token and also the stake Aave token. So bring a new interesting side to the stake Aave token, because user can stake the Aave token in the Aave system to get the stake Aave, and then use the stake Aave and put them in the Paladin protocol and get another what we call a double dip system, and get more returns on their token through the Paladin if someone wants to borrow the stake Aave and just the delegating power, and they get some rewards on it. Yeah, so for the hackathon, we want to try and make it work with the Aave and stake Aave token, and maybe later go on with adding new tokens. But that's the tricky part, because every governance system has a different way to delegate power. Like they don't have the like for ERC token, like a basic understanding. Like they just did their own version of the delegation system. So we'll have to do a new pool and a new contract for each token we want to add to the protocol. But basically it's to add the like compound uni token and stuff, so people can get some value out of those tokens, like a new way to get values out of those tokens.
Okay, yeah, the first project that comes to mind is something called Power Pool. I put the link in the chat, where it's similar concept, but I think there are some differentiations where they are pooling governance tokens, and I think there's a DAO attached to it. I haven't dug very much into what they're actually, like what their main goal is, but I think that's a good question for you. Do you plan on this being, will it just be a place where people can deposit and lend governance tokens, or do you plan for this to be an active venture where members of the pool actually can go and use them, or they have a special benefit?
So yeah, at first it will just be the basic lending and borrow system to get some interest back on the loans, and later we thought about having some kind of voting system for the tokens that are still in the pool when, for example, an Aave proposition is put to vote if the snapshot is done, and some tokens are still in the Aave V pool, like our pool in the Paladin protocol, would have some way to vote for every liquidity provider, so they can like have a quorum, consensus between them, and put those tokens to vote also, so we don't lose the voting power for the token that hasn't been borrowed in the system. And yeah, we saw about power pool, but we think it's not the same system. Like we don't want for example, the tokens to leave Paladin, so we have some kind of insurance for the liquidity provider to be sure that their token isn't going anywhere, and so we don't have to use huge collateral for loans. We just need to have like a fee system where the borrower has to put some an amount of DAI that's gonna get him a loan until a given block, depending on the token price, and just have to put some more fees in the protocol to extend the loan or close the loan to get back the fees that were not used at the time you close and stuff, and have some kind of liquidation system with some reward to close the loans that were not closed by the borrowers and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it does sound like it's a different system than PowerPool. So I would like to learn more. Similar to what I've said to other projects, I know many people just showed up to verbally describe it, but if you have in the future a diagram or some visual aid, that will definitely help for, when you're introducing your demo next week, or when you actually go to make your submission video. Visuals are really helpful for.
Yeah, sure. But maybe we had some, maybe Romain had some, but because he was supposed to present and was not me,
fine.
so kind of in the last moment. So I don't
not
know what he was planning to show you, and I might not have the links on hand. So sorry.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like I said, not an issue for this time, but I will probably be able to understand it a little bit better, or have some different insights if there's a diagram. So maybe if he has anything, feel free to share it in the Discord once you connect with him again. But thanks for sharing the project. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time.
All right, so it looks like a lot of people have dropped off on that Google Doc. So I've moved names that I think are gone to the bottom. If you're still here, just say it in the chat. But we are gonna just keep going down the list. We've got a few left. The next up is Watchful Eye. John C. and Steven, are you still here?
Yeah, this is John. I was gonna turn my camera, but for some reason, things always break when they should.
No worries.
Let me screen share. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah. Maybe can you do it full screen or
yeah.
a little bit larger?
I'm going to zoom in to each kind of constituent part as I talk about it a little bit more. So Watchful Eye, actually, it started as we were looking at the 1-inch bounties that were out, and one of them, the second one, was an automated liquidation bot. So we decided to go with that, and things change as you research into what you're going to do. But we kind of decided on basically what Watchful Eye is a bot or a dApp that will that you can go onto the client. You can obviously, as it says here, in fact, this might be nice to walk through as I explain it. You get a dashboard to see any existing positions that you've made, and from there you can create new positions using price limits. So we were between using a health factor and like an actual stop loss, pretty much, for the price of the debt and the collateral. And sorry about that. And there were a couple of trade-offs, but it probably, as of right now, for the hack, we're just going to use price for the debt and the collateral. So then we have a so that gets stored in the smart contract, and from there we have the idea of using an oracle to consistently to call our smart contract to check if there is an available position that needs to be liquidated, and if there is, it initiates a transaction, which is fairly inefficient because that transaction could be big. To use an Aave flash loan to liquidate that position, or to, you know, actually we can show it right here. So the Watchful Eye, the oracle, calls the Watchful Eye smart contract. The smart contract gets the flash loan. Aave sends the flash loan to the smart contract. The smart contract pays off the existing debt, receives the collateral back. We're not exactly sure how that's going to work yet. And then you swap the collateral for the flash loan asset, and you pay back the flash loan. And then after that, you know, you pay whatever was left from the swap back to the that user there, that nervous emoji user. This is actually our first foray into anything in Ethereum in general. So this might be a little bit of a stretch for us, but we have some trade-offs here that we might have to take for the hackathon. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I really like the idea. One project that comes to mind is InstaDApp. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I'll drop the link there. And they do something similar where they help to hedge against liquidation. So it's like it's an in-between contract set that manages debt positions with Maker, for example, MakerDAO, and prevents people from getting liquidated, or they will like add collateral when it gets too close. So maybe something to look at as a pattern. But I think one thing that you do different here is you have a flash loan integration, which is cool. So I'll have to think a little bit about what the implications of that are. But do you imagine this as like a collective activity that people deposit into and then they earn fees, or is it just like how does the system run? How does it sustain itself?
So at least for the hackathon, we're going to run it on the testnet only, and we're going to just fund everything, ourselves, which is not really a cost, I guess. But if this were to move to mainnet, there might be, there might be a way to, we might have to set it up so that basically this whole, like this part, that the oracle part of repeatedly calling the Watchful Eye contract and initiating the transaction to do the liquidation, that if we could figure out how to decentralize this part, I feel like that is the most this is the part where it doesn't scale out of, or the most out of everything here, which we haven't really looked into. How do we scale that kind of thing yet? We're just mostly like, how do we even make a contract stage right now? So
sure. Yeah, I think that's something that you don't have to, like, not all projects have to be 100% complete, fully deployed on mainnet. That's not a requirement. You get as far as you can. You want to make, relatively cohesive submission where people understand the different components and get as much code as you can. But I don't worry about, making it fully performant. It's okay if there are decentralized parts. Yeah, totally fine.
Cool. And one of the things that for anybody else who was here, I talked to Austin Griffith, the guy who wrote Scaffold ETH. And if you're like trying to figure out how to start with something, it's really like, I started with a truffle and then moved over to Scaffold ETH. It was well worth the few hours that it took to like migrate over. It is great. So yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that many times from people as well. Scaffold ETH is really helpful, especially in these hackathon situations. So cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, Trent.
So I dropped the names of everybody who is left on the list. And if you're here, just say that I'm here in the chat. We're going to try and go through these. Fujicracy.
Here. Hi, yeah, thanks for having us. So I will just say to continue the previous discussion that I also changed from truffle to using scaffold it, and it's really life-changing. So I
nice, good to hear.
So our project is called Fuji, and its goal is to optimize borrow rates for a pool of loans through constantly refinancing for the best rate on the market. So just let me share my screen. This. So when we were looking for an idea and with my teammates, and we just said, okay, there are so many yield aggregators on the market that are constantly seeking to maximize the yield for investors and for lenders. And nobody, or at least as much as we know, there are no products that are caring for the borrowers. So why we think it could be our product could be very useful. So currently on the market there are many providers, many markets from where we can borrow. And the interest rates are really, there are huge discrepancies between interest rates. Like sometimes to borrow DAI from Aave is 2 times cheaper than on DYDX, and the next day it's vice versa. So okay, you can use tools like InstaDApp or DeFi to build your strategies so that you can swap between protocols, so you profit from the lowest rate. But all this you have to do it by yourself, and sometimes you have to be quite skillful to do it. So we said, okay, we take the idea of the yield aggregate of a typical yield aggregator, say Yearn, and we switch it around and say, okay, so people, instead of putting their money in the aggregator, and the aggregator doing some strategies to maximize the profit, people will borrow from us from a pool, and this pool will be connected to some providers like Aave, DYDX, or Compound, and depending on where is the best borrowing rate, it will borrow from there, and will provide the demanded asset to the borrower. And once the borrower has, for example, the borrower provided ETH, the borrower provided ETH and get some DAI, and the only thing that he should care is to repay back the debt, and the protocol will take care of switching between platforms so that we get always the lowest rate. And this this switching part will be done with flash loans. So okay. Here is the idea. Yeah, one of the problems that we come across is that there are different liquidation ratios, for example, for different platforms. So probably we should have we should add additional providers according to some preset liquidation rates that is already in place. But yeah, that's the overview.
So to summarize, this is an aggregator for variable rate loans.
This is an aggregator. This aggregator will have different markets, like one market where you provide ETH and borrow DAI, another market where you provide as collateral ETH and you borrow USDC, and according to these markets, we use different providers of loans.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So how does the pool benefit, or is it just a contract, like a pass-through contract, and it doesn't actually hold the funds? It's just a relayer to Aave to DYDX.
Actually, it's a relayer, but all the collateral will be provided to the pool. Actually, the debtor, it will be the pool. So the pool will hold the collateral, and it will hold the debt tokens. If it's in the case of Aave, it will hold the C tokens. If it's the case of compound. So it's a relayer, but actually it holds all the funds and the collateral.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You've probably done more research than I have, but is there anything like this currently?
If there is something like that currently?
Yeah.
No, actually, we did some research, and the only thing that we came across is DeFi Saver and InstantUp, but actually it's for individuals. It's not for pooling all together assets and yeah, optimizing for all the pool.
Cool. Okay, cool. One I don't have a ton of questions, but the only one that comes to mind is, how are you feeding the rates? Are those published on chain, or do you have to use an Oracle service?
So probably we will have to use Chainlink, at least because for the hackathon we want to build one market like DAI ETH, and with two providers, Aave and Compound. And there is a Chainlink Oracle for DAI ETH, this pair. So we hesitate to use the Chainlink Oracle or to use the built-in the oracles that are used by the protocols themselves.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what solution you settle on for oracles, because it seems like it'll be a big part of this project. I don't have any other feedback though.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having me.
Next up is Not Real. Are you in the chat, or are you going to present something? Okay. Gary Prosperity, are you here?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hey, go ahead. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's see if I get. Oh, okay. I have to allow things. Let's see. Mine is my team kind of never materialized. So I guess it's just me. The project is a staked identity validation service for issuing full access key tokens, for establishing a person or maybe a business's unique identity in crypto space. And let's see if I can say this right. Essentially, a person would stake a deposit, and that deposit would be able to earn interest for them and pay for the process of having an NFT that they use, that is generated, that they use to create one-use tokens so that they could, for authentication. And so they essentially have one NFT as their master key. And then the process basically creates, there's a reward for having the deposit. There's another token created, and that other token is used as payment in conjunction with the master NFT to produce the one-use tokens for authenticating themselves on different networks, different services. So essentially, it's kind of a ultimately, once it's operating, it would be completely on the blockchain, and it would just function by itself. And essentially, so to keep it alive, they would have their deposits, and they maintain the minimum deposit, which gives them the ability to use the service. So they would get return on their deposit, as well as the ability they could deposit more to get return. But then also, to try to make it as a draw, the NFT could be more like the Aave type of situation, where that has functionality on itself. So there'd be different parts all interconnected, but no central authority. So there'd be the governance and the credit delegation, all those things wrapped in wherever needed, using the different protocols to achieve the goal, which the ultimate goal is a secure, authenticated ability for the average person to go without using a password and just kind of function in the world without having to know how the technology works. So basically make it seamless and simple, and the goal isn't to make money. It's basically a non-profit concept to basically keep it alive, so that you can have a uncentralized, like a certificate authority, essentially. The same NFT would be a certificate for everything that somebody would use, websites or whatever, so that's the concept. I have a diagram. I can show you my crazy diagram, but
yeah, one question is, what do you see as the main use case for something like this?
Well, basically everywhere you would need to authenticate your identity, and essentially 2 tokens could be created, one-use tokens. They could be an anonymous token that authenticates the person as a real person, and an actual personally identifiable one that has their information. So if they want to make a transaction where they have to show their identity, then they can do it. Otherwise, if they just want to go to websites and browse around, and they just need to have that secure token to establish the connection, then basically, so they have choices, and essentially the tokens would be purchased. So they would buy a lot of them or something, but they would be purchased within the system. So once they're in the system, they just self-fulfilling.
Okay, so is there any restriction, or how would you handle people registering as someone else?
Well, of course, that's part of the initially it would be a centralized system to get it started, but ultimately it would be transitioned to where, I'm not exactly sure the technology, but a method to where, it's governed, to where the identities are validated in some method. That hasn't been, went that deep.
Okay.
It's basically it was a bigger idea, but the most important thing for the bigger idea is that authenticated user, to where you don't need to worry about passwords and all these things, where you can have a user come into the blockchain in a more seamless manner. So essentially, security is the most important aspect of things, and the end user is usually the security breach in all systems. So essentially, try to solve problems is what the goal is, and then do it in a way that's fun and interesting and pays them back, so that it's not about like a lot of these other projects I see where they're trying to make money on it, which means they got to charge businesses and create a whole big on-ramp system to it, and it's expensive and it's really unnecessary for the technology.
Yeah, one thing I just linked in the chat is something called Everest, which is it's an on-chain registry that has some parallels to what you're building, but I don't think it issues any sort of certificate token or it's just a more bare bones version of what I think you're building. So maybe you can look at that and see how they ended up deploying on chain and stuff.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah, it's a pretty small though, so I can't really.
Is that
sure,
like,
yeah, that's good.
So that's kind of the idea of where the applicant puts into the token factory the concept. I don't know, it's just a name, and then the IFPS is where the information is stored encrypted, and essentially there's separate systems here for creating the tokens for security, because if you don't separate the systems, then they're easily compromised. So the concept is to try to separate as much as possible using the different protocols.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a developer, so I don't have a ton of feedback on your actual architecture, but
this is just made up real quick. I mostly drew this up during last hour, but yeah, I mean, I've got a security background, so I know what the issue is that I'm trying to deal with. That's the issue with programming and everywhere, is that people they don't have a security background. They don't really understand what they're doing, and they create security holes.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I want to come in at this, is make sure that security is being enforced, whether somebody's doing it right. But the thing is, most companies you can't trust, with this, because they say, oh, we're secure, but then they don't care. Let's see if I can unshare this. All right. That was my attempt. All right. I guess that's it. Unless you got some other question for me.
No, that was kind of I don't really have anything else other than be curious to see how far you take it.
Yeah,
what you can get developed by the end of the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do just like some simple aspects of it to try to make it at least look like it works. Obviously, it's pretty complex.
Sure. Okay,
right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. So Not Real said that they were having issues with their microphone.
Can you hear me?
Are you still with us, or?
Yes. Hello?
You are. Hello, how's it going?
Good. Is the volume okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. All right. So can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so I'm building on top of an existing project. So this is just the landing page, but what you see on the left are different AI generated cats. So the idea is that these will be NFTs. And so this is something I've already been building for a while. So it's a rolling 24-hour auctions to where it's just, English auction where people are bidding up over a period of 24 hours, and then it gets minted and somebody becomes the owner of that NFT. So the initial idea was just a standard sort of collectible NFT game / marketplace. Until I joined this hackathon, I wasn't thinking about, different, adding any of these other protocols, but now I'm thinking about how adding Aave as a, am I pronouncing that right, by the way? Is it Aave? Yeah. How adding Aave would be a really awesome way to add some inherent value to these tokens. So basically what I'm imagining is like basically answering the question, like, can an NFT also be a savings account in a way? So I'm thinking about like, well, what if the amount that these get purchased for, the vast majority of that is actually just staked into an interest-bearing account, basically. Let's say something really high, like 90, 95%, something like that. Basically, whatever's not staked is just like a platform fee, and that gives a lot more inherent value. Reduces the risk of like just collecting and trading NFTs, so you can basically enjoy the the game of like collecting and trading without actually risking so much capital. And that solves a problem for us as a platform too, because then we don't have to just attracting users to come play the game is just, it makes it a lot easier. So basically, yeah, so I'm still need to build out all of that, but I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about just basically the part that has been rolling around in my mind that I could really use feedback on is basically what those thresholds should be for how much gets staked, how much should be a platform fee, whether I could do anything interesting to incentivize. Like maybe it starts off with only 80% being staked, and then as each token gets minted, the stake amount goes up, which means that the inherent value, you could say, of these NFTs is going up, meaning that early adopters are getting rewarded. I don't know, like, my initial idea was that the way that CryptoKitties did it was they sold, they had like a minting auction where 100% of the mint went to the platform, and that funded the platform completely, for the first year. And then they took a small fee of secondary market sales. But with this, like, I would be, I'm thinking, it could be anywhere from 50% staked to like 99% staked. And basically, I'm just having a lot of trouble kind of nailing down what would be a healthy setup for the ecosystem. So,
Yeah, so one question is there an unlimited number of these that can be minted, or would you limit that?
So I was initially imagining to have just like an infinite number, but at a fixed pace. So there's only like 25 per day or something like that that get minted. But it goes on continuously. But there's an actual technical limitation, which is that I don't have a setup where it could just like continuously go into the future. I don't even know if that's possible without some sort of like Ethereum cron jobs. Like, it's actually not trivial to just have something that continuously is minting on Ethereum. So I'm just, for practical consideration, I might have to have it go only like a year or 2 years out or something like that.
Yeah, that would get prohibitively expensive for minting after a while. I was just curious. I'm not saying that you should have unlimited minting.
Yeah, that was what I initially wanted to do, was an unlimited amount, but the fixed pace is what creates the scarcity.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to think a little bit more about like your percent thresholds that you asked about. I don't have any explicit feedback right now about that.
Mm-hmm. Do you like the idea generally of just like, yeah, it's just basically trading cards that earn you money is sort of the idea.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is where some of the inspiration came from, but you should definitely check out Aave. I think we're one of the first teams to really do this largely. So check out their channel and maybe you can get some pointers on how to actually implement like interest-bearing NFTs.
Okay.
I think that's all I have for now.
Cool. Thank you.
Cool, thanks. We're nearing the end of the session. I don't see Royal Hits around, so we're gonna jump over that hacker and move to Awasika and Safekeep. Are you still here?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, great. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the time, everybody. Good evening. My name is Awasika from Lagos, Nigeria. And my team working on Safekeep during the hackathon. The whole idea of Safekeep is initially we're thinking of it as, let's say, like a dead man switch, a contract whereby what we are looking to solve is like, we discover that a number of people get to lose their private key, get to lose a number of their token information at some point, their wallet information at some point. So we're thinking of, okay, what if we have a contract whereby they can send these particular tokens to, like we Safekeep the tokens for them, and time to time they come to the contract, they to ping to show that, okay, they are still alive, they are still there. And for if by next 4, 3, 5, 6 months, we didn't get to see any ping from them, we automatically send these tokens back to whichever wallet they put as a next of kin, or somebody else that they put to claim this wallet. So down the line, we're just like, okay, if we keep these tokens locked there, what other benefits can it give back to the token owners? Can it give back to the token? So we now talk, okay, instead of just keeping it there, we might end up, so we are looking to explore Aave lending pool, where we get to lend these tokens to Aave, then get back some AP returns back from this lending, and then they will get to distribute these to token owners as like, okay, you're keeping this token safe with us. By the end of the day, you're getting some returns for keeping this token safe. And at some point, we are considering having governance whereby we decide, okay, what comes with this, what next do we do? But for now, for the process of the hackathon, we are going to be doing, for the time of the hackathon, we're going to be doing a contract, a safe contract, and at least a good enough contract for ERC20 tokens. And also we are going to be finishing up the Aave integration, whereby we get to lend these particular tokens to Aave. Then now down the line, we'll get, after the hackathon, maybe we'll get to figure out the whole governance instruction. Then, okay, who gets what percentage are we giving back to the token owners and the likes of it. That's simply what we're looking to work on.
Very cool. Yeah, I love the idea. Why would you need governance in the future, though? I think it seems like it would be better as a simple, skeleton.
Yeah, we like that. That's why it's not something we are presently considering. But on the long run, we're thinking if we get more users and keep getting up, okay, like we can decide, okay, now we have, for instance, now you're distracting me. Now we have Aave implementation, for example. You can decide I want to do, oh, sorry, this young man that is distracting me. Okay, so bye-bye. Bye. Okay, now you can go.
Bye.
All right, so the reason why we're considering governance is at the end of the day, we might decide to, okay, what happens if we decide to split the tokens amongst different pools? Then we don't want to be making a singular decision of, okay, let's just make this decision for the users. We want a number of the users to actually have a say in where their token goes. Okay, if make a number of other factors, right? Down the line, not something for now. We're going to be running with the skeleton. Keep your fund, ping for the fund, and if you don't get to see you after 6 months, we give your token to XY wallet you have put as your next of kin. Then we lend your token to lending pool and give the returns back to token owners. That's a simple idea.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. I'll be very excited to see what you actually come up with by the end of the session or the end of the next few weeks.
Thank you very much.
Cool, man. Last but not least, we have Chris.
Hey guys.
He's gonna tell us what teller machine is. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a long time. If the mic is working. It's been a long time since I've seen some of these handsome faces. But, here we are at another ETHGlobal hackathon. At the last ETHGlobal hackathon I participated in, I actually worked on a thing called Astro ETH, which was, you know, sending Ethereums to space. And that's what this thing is over here. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Today, I'm talking about the Aave teller machine. So after ETH Denver, I got really excited by the idea of physical ether, like making the digital real. So in today's MarketMake, or what we're working on, I'm actually showing the Aave teller machine, a physical ATM or liquidity provider for the Aave network that allows you to deposit cash into the front of the machine, which stakes a liquidity pool here, and then allows you to lend it into the Aave protocol directly. So it's basically a physical bridge to digital assets. Yeah, it's a normal ATM machine that I've retrofitted to make work on the Ethereum network. And so far it is, well, I mean, I can deposit from my wallet, and I'm working on getting the cash acceptance part working now. So my expectation is to have a video demo of me being able to put an amount of cash in the front of the machine and have it show up as a Aave lending balance, or as a, you know, and the use case here is I envision, you know, humans when the world opens up again, and, you know, you got a bartender who's like kicking off of work at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then, you know, goes by the bodega and, you know, has their cash tips for the night. They can go push it into an Aave borrow and pick it up next week, and, you know, get the yield in the meantime. So this is about like turning yield on for normal, you know, human beings. It's at small places, and yeah. So
super cool. Yeah, how do you see? I'm just trying to think through the architecture here. Does somebody have to? They already have to have an address that they sort of input, or
so yeah,
how does that work?
I mean, the way it works is I just use Wallet Connect. So
perfect.
Yeah, so you literally just use your normal Wallet Connect thing. You connect to the actual physical device, and then Wallet Connect, it basically bridges the machine itself is a local Ethereum is a contract, and then it is staked with cash from the shop owner. So the shop owner puts physical money inside, or it like puts DAI in the machine, and then basically it's a borrow market between the physical and the virtual space.
Yeah, I think this is an awesome idea, and it's always really cool to see physical hacks, because, you know, we're always stuck online and in the digital, but it's very cool to see a physical hack.
Yeah.
I do have to run currently, but definitely share some more in the Discord, and I'd love to. This is going to be awesome. So you said by the end of the hackathon, you hope to.
Oh no! I'm expecting by the end of like this afternoon, I can actually deposit in the Aave.
Even better. Yeah. Even better. This is going to be awesome. Super cool. All right. I think we're going to wrap here. Appreciate everybody sticking around till the very end. I think next week we might try to have 2 sessions, so this one isn't so drawn out. But thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you in the Discord.